ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in here. Murder Church on the air. Episode 28. Phil Spector, Hollywood murder trial commences. We are on our last day hanging out with Dr. Luis Pena, part 16. We've been with this gentleman for weeks now, and it's going to be bittersweet. But yeah, we're on our last part of him, and we're going to be going into some more testimony. I would assume after that, with this trial, you never know. Thank you so much for coming in here. Please hit that like. I know Jay portaled a lot of people over here. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate that from a Sarah Boone video that he had made. So thanks everyone for coming in here. Again, hit that like, share it out on the old X machine. Just shared that out, and let's go.
Let's rock.
Oh, what's up? You got a wheel flash there just for a second. What's up, everybody? I'm just a little bit gray also. Computer restarted yesterday, so I'm going to do a couple of things right here live. First of all, get the chat in there. Also try to kick Botrix right in the ass, wake her up. And what's up, everybody? Well, thanks for coming in here in real time, and I'm going to try to change my brightness a little bit. Make it just a little bit brighter, but also a little bit more contrast down, and then we'll pick up the saturation just a little bit. There we go. Maybe down just a little. Boom. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for coming in here. Appreciate it. Yeah. We have episode, I forgot what fucking episode it was. 28? We on 28? Yeah, episode 28 of the Phil Spector murder trial coming at you right now. Welcome in here. Jay, what's up, dude? My eye's doing a lot better. My eye is doing tremendous amounts better. You can kind of see, like, it used to be really crazy red all the way deep back there. Yeah, the medicine seems to be working. I'm taking 3 different drops multiple times a day, and I've got this pill that I'm rocking. And I go see the doctor for the 3rd time in a week tomorrow. She's pretty on top of it. This has been a great eye doctor. I can't say enough nice things about this lady, actually. She actually listens, so I was lucky to find somebody that was cool. But yeah, man, I think it's doing a little bit better. Knock on wood. Yeah, welcome in here, everybody. Thank you so much. I guess Botrix is going to wake up sometime today. Sinead in the house. Won 2 shirts last week, Sinead. Coming through. First full Murder Church episode, and won twice in one episode, which is absolutely insane. Charlotte, what's up? Coming through here also. Appreciate it. Jersey Jen in the house. Rachel C. in the house. Drew Gambino. Good to see everybody. I'm not sick. No, I'm just sleepy. This is me just waking up. That's my just waking up voice, if that's what you're meaning. Taryn Dusty, Pokemom, Helen Steiner, Sheila Duffy, Simi Sharp, hanging and banging. That's what I'm talking about. We got a crew in here already.
Hanging and banging.
We're not messing around. That did come through, right?
Hanging and banging.
Yeah, it did. Of course, the will is in play this morning for possibilities. Good morning, Carrie, for winning Oasis Cat, for winning a free shirt. You have a list of people that get mailed out shirts all the time, because if we get 12 people that come through and fill up a will, which we're already pretty deep into, because on Feral Friday they were rocking and rolling, you can win a free t-shirt. Let me see exactly where we're at on the wheel, just to see where we're at right now, just so everybody has an idea of how close and or soon we are to a will. Right here, Friday night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So make sure 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold on, 1, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're 8. We're 4 away from a spin, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll get it. And Botrix is still not waking up. Might have to go do the old login. Hold on. Sometimes I got to go in there. Yeah, it's not even logged in. Sometimes you have to let her know you're here. Hey, I'm knocking on the door, lady. I don't know why you don't see me, but I'm here. Sinead said, you know what? I'm going to win another one right now. I'm going to pick up another one. Sinead coming through right now, getting on this son of a bitch, and her luck is nuts. Okay. I told her last week, I think she's in Ireland. You need to go and buy yourself a lottery ticket. Do they do lotteries in Ireland? I don't know if every place does lotteries like we do. That might be a weird thing. You should have bought something. You should have gambled online or something, though, because you had the luck with you last week. And we'll see if it comes through again. City Kitty coming through here. I still see the beautiful names of the church coming through this morning. Ha! Coming through. All right, so here's the plan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start this up, part 16. It is 41 minutes, a shorter Dr. Pina. And if you look in the chat there, if you're a member, you can use this. And I guess it won't be really needed after this, but I do have an emoji for Dr. Pina since we've been with him for so long. There is an eggplant emoji in there, and I think that's self-explanatory. But yeah, I got to go upstairs. I'm going to make a coffee. I'll take a drink of water, actually, real quick, too. Yesterday, holy shit, I do want to say this. Yesterday, me and my buddy went across a mountain in West Virginia to this area called Mullins, West Virginia. It's deeper into the mountains, and it's a very small, poor town. We found this really cool restaurant that has opened up. But one thing we have here in West Virginia, we have these trails, and a lot of people come here and vacation. We do have a lot of people that vacation through the West Virginia hills or mountains or whatever you want to say, that come through with four-wheelers and side-by-sides and hit the trails, okay? You can actually drive those on our main roads here. Which is pretty wild. I think that's one of the only states that you can do that in. But we have people from all over the country that come through here, so business like-minded people are starting to pick up on that. We need to be starting to get some tourist attractions here. So there's this one bar here, or there rather, that is awesome. The food was amazing. My buddy Magic, who has a channel where he explores Appalachia, whether it's food or old buildings, he's called John from Appalachia. He took me on this venture, quite frankly. And we went, first of all, to this Itman company store. It's one of the last ones even available, period, in the States. But it's an old coal mining company store that is gorgeous. It looks like a freaking castle out of, like, Italy or something. Gorgeously made, still standing. It looks insane inside, like of course the roof's falling in, but it looks like a spread of a castle. But this was the place where back in the day, during the coal mining days, the coal miners that was the place where they got their money, when it was called script, and that's where they had to spend that money. Okay, they couldn't go out and just go buy stuff willy-nilly. They could only spend this money, this script that they were paid in from the coal mines, in this facility. But you could buy anything you wanted there except for a car, is the old saying, essentially. So, yeah, and it was, I think, opened in 1928, something like that. It's an insane sprawl. Like, it's huge. We got a lot of coverage of that. And creepy as hell, too. Almost got stung up by some bees right in the face. So I can't wait to kind of look at my footage and see how that goes. Got this new sweet camera. It's very portable to kind of roll around with, a GoPro 12. Yeah, going to be looking for more stuff like that. I just got to get through the footage. But also a restaurant that we ended up finding there. Freaking amazing. Like, it was so awesome. But this guy hooked Magic up. I guess he knew he was coming, and he does this food stuff for his YouTube channel and his Facebook. And he hooked my buddy and me up. Like, he really took care of us. Like, the food that he let us try was amazing. So you're going to get an insane video. Members and Patreon peeps are going to get an insane video. So if you're membered up, look out for that. Sheila Duffy with a $1 holla coming through here. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was deep in the holler, Jay. That's deep in the holler. You guys aren't going to believe it. When I show you guys going over this mountain, like, it's one of those mountains you're going to get sick on. If you get sick and you're not taking Dramamine. Like, it's a crazy one. Thank you, Sheila. I think we are 2 names away from a spin here this morning. But yeah, if you become a member here, you're going to be getting some really cool content. I've already got some stuff that we were already filming, but now that I've got a camera that's super portable, super easy to move around, I think I'm going to be doing more of this stuff. And my buddy does this that's what he does. Like, this is his regular gig. So I'm lucky enough to hopefully be able to tag along with him. But yeah, let's get in here. Enough rambling this morning. Thank you all so much. Botrix never did wake up. What the hell? But we're going to get in here and do the damn thing again. Episode 28. And after this one, we're finally going to move on past Dr. Luis Pena, who I've actually enjoyed. I've liked Dr. Pena. So we're going to see what we get next. And we're going to see what we get here at the end. Everybody that came through on Feral Friday, thank you so much. If you stuck through that one, thank you so much. I know that one was not not for everyone, But we had a lot of fun with it, and I like to kind of do something for everyone on there. And that one was kind of for me personally, actually. All right, guys, let's rock and roll. I'm gonna go upstairs and get a coffee. I'm gonna be watching on my phone, and yeah, let's keep it rolling. Also, the Cash App, of course, is open, guys. Venmo, that is also ways that you can get on the wheel if you're unfamiliar, by sending me a Cash App. Of course, it's at PubliclyBuzzed. I'll get all that into the chat there, or if any mods could do that. Cash App, Venmo, buy a coffee, that'll all get you on there. Of course, membering up, and make sure your memberships are turned on, because we have absolutely amazing people that never stop giving memberships out and supers. That's how you get on the wheel. We're halfway there, more than halfway there, and we're rolling, baby. Let's go. I need some coffee. I'm already jacked up and even got any coffee. It's going to get real today.
Order, court's getting in session.
Judge Dowhard, take us home, baby.
All parties and the witness, jurors, and alternates are present as heretofore. Mr. Plord, you may proceed.
Good afternoon, Dr. Pena again.
Son of a bitch, that doesn't sound good at all, couch juror. No way. Hope he could figure it out.
The questions that you were asked by Mr. Jackson.
The bells. Oh, wow. You guys are on top of it. Thank God I have this congregation here to remind me, folks, we can't start an official murder church without the freaking bells. Everybody in the chat's blowing me up. They're saying, where's the bells? Where's the freaking bells? No, you're all right. You're all correct. Correctamundo. Disney nerd in here as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We do. Just in case we get lost or buried, you guys got to figure out where we are. There's one part of that video that's really crazy. There's an area we had to walk over these boards that are just essentially nothing, and you got to walk across this area that if you fall in, I don't think I'm coming back out. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna get a coffee. Thanks so much for hanging and banging this morning. Let's go
back to one of them where you talked about the note that you wrote on the 3rd of February of 2003, where you said your tentative findings, or what
preliminary
preliminary findings, and you said that since you wrote that, you had to prove it, and then you were asked about gunshot residue and so forth.
Just real quick, just a little catch up. Of course, what they've been basically doing with Dr. Pena over the last many weeks is, at least the defense is trying to nail down the possibility of Lana Clarkson, the person that this trial is about and who ended up dead in the castle, quote unquote, or the house of Phil Spector. They're implying the possibility that she could have done this to herself, basically because of how depressed she was, how down on her luck she was. She was in a bad spot in life. She had these headaches that were endless, in her own words, that they did not go away. There was no comfort from these headaches, and I will admit that it sounds like she was pretty dire. She was in a really bad situation, and maybe that is something she would have done or wanted to do. But the way that this all went down, and again, I've said this ad nauseum at this point, but we've seen multiple ladies at this point come through who have spent time with Phil Spector and ended up in a very, because they didn't end up dead like Lana Clarkson. The exact same position and situation, because they wanted to leave and he wasn't ready yet. He didn't want them to leave, or he wanted sex, or whatever the fuck this fucking guy wanted. But he would get a gun. He'd bring a gun out and he'd start waving around. He'd start scaring them. Okay? Many pointing at them, putting the gun in mouths. And what happened here? Lana Clarkson ended up dead with a gun, a revolver in her mouth, and a bullet ended up going through the back of her head and severing her spine. Okay? It's not hard to kind of add this up. 1 and 1 equal 2. Okay? Like, you don't have to jump through tons of hoops to get here. But the defense currently, with Dr. Pena, is getting down that avenue, getting down that road, and trying to make at least the jury believe that the possibility of her doing this to herself. So let's keep rocking.
And if I remembered your testimony you gave before, you said that you know something about gunshot residue, but you're not an expert in it, and that's why you rely on others. Is that true?
Yes.
Morning.
Okay, and so...
I'm going to get some coffee, guys. We'll be right back.
For example, in this
Megan,
particular case,
thanks everybody for coming in here. Hit that like.
How much gunshot residue was on the hands, or were on the hands of Lana Clarkson, either her left hand or her right hand?
No.
Was it a lot on her left hand, more on her right, or do you know one way or the other?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I think the answer's about to negate my objection.
Wild side in here? Get in here, everybody.
Do you know how much gunshot residue was on Mr. Spector's hands, if any?
I don't know.
Do you know whether it was one specific part?
The share's already coming out on the old X machine. Also, Jay, thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Sheila Duffy with a hell yeah with a share. Thank you so much. Taryn Dusty coming through. Hell yeah with a share as well. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. The support is insane.
And one non-specific particle on
Unbelievable.
both hands together, or do you know there was a lot
Incredibly
on his
lucky.
hands, or a little, or anything such as that?
Also speculation. He's indicated he doesn't know.
Well, he's asking again if he knows. Do you know?
Yeah.
Would it make any difference to you one way or the other?
No.
Dr. Pena, with reference
All right, let's get this coffee.
to blood spatter on the hands of the decedent, you did not even see it yourself. Is that true?
I did not.
And you examined the hands, is that correct?
Yes.
And were you aware of after you examined these hands, I take it you examined them very carefully?
Yes.
Were you aware that after you examined them very carefully before the body was taken to the medical examiner's office, that some of the blood spatter was actually swabbed off the hands by a criminalist for your office?
That's correct.
Dr. Pena, are you aware as to whether or not, well, you are aware that blood spatter or little specks of blood can be observed sometimes with the naked eye and sometimes you have to actually look at it with magnification?
That's correct.
And did you look at Ms. Clarkson's hands with magnification at all?
No, I did not.
This portion of the book for Dr. DeMaio that you were shown that's been marked, and this is specifically page 369, I take it that you reviewed that portion of the book, is that correct?
Yes.
And that talks about spray, is that true?
Yes.
Do you know whether that picture is associated with a temple wound or an interoral wound, or do you know how that picture was, or what kind of a picture that came from?
You know, I'm not sure on that.
There's a statement in the book that I think you may have already talked about, and I wanted to know whether or not you agree with that, is that sometimes when somebody shoots themselves in the head, whether it's the temple or the mouth or whatever, sometimes they get no blood spatter on their hands at all.
That's correct.
And in this particular case, the picture that you were looking at was a picture of somebody steadying the muzzle or the barrel of the gun. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And if somebody was holding the handle of the gun or the grip of the gun and holding their hands together, then the blood spatter would be totally different. Isn't that true?
Objection. False or speculations beyond his expertise.
Can you answer that question?
You know, I can't. Not that one, no.
Okay, then the objection is sustained.
Dr. Pena, would it also be consistent as far as the gunshot residue is concerned that if Mr. Spector were handcuffed in an area where a gun was shot, was on the ground, and handcuffed, that he could have gunshot particles transferred from the area where the gun was shot to his hands?
Objection. No foundation.
Are you able to answer the question?
No, I'm not.
All right, the objection then is sustained.
Dr. Pena, if you were told, to use Mr. Jackson's words, that Mr. Spector took a rag or towel and wiped Lana Clarkson's face, would it be possible for gunshot residue to be transferred from her body to his body?
Objection. Foundation.
I'll allow that question if you can answer it.
I cannot answer that.
In your opinion, Dr. Pena, does gunshot residue answer any question in this case as to whether or not Lana Clarkson accidentally killed herself?
It's difficult, and I don't know how to answer that. That's a tough one.
Okay. I know this may be difficult for you to answer, Dr. Pena, but would the finding of abundant gunshot residue on Lana Clarkson's hands, each of them, clothing, both under her, on her clothing, around her, separating any in his mouth, and finding two particles, one specific and non-specific on Mr. Spector, doesn't that support the opinion that she fired the weapon as opposed to Mr. Spector?
No, it does not.
Did you get any type of report, or were you ever told as to whether or not they were able to recover any fingerprints off of the weapon?
They tried, and from my understanding, the LA Sheriff's Crime Lab, they were unable to get prints off that gun.
Okay. Dr. Pena, do you know whether or not there were specks of blood spatter on the weapon itself?
Yes,
Okay, and there were specks of blood on, like, the barrel of the weapon, is that correct?
that's correct.
And on the cylinder of the weapon, is that correct?
Yes,
And there were specks of blood on the handle of the weapon, is that true?
correct.
Okay, and the handle of the weapon, where you would grab the weapon, has sort of a backside and a front side, isn't that correct?
Yes,
Okay, you've actually seen pictures of the weapon before it was analyzed by the forensic scientists in this case, is that true?
yes,
Okay, and there were specks that you could see visible on the not the back of the grip of the weapon, but the front of the grip, is that correct?
Objection, that assumes facts, not evidence.
Are you able to answer that?
no, not that one, I'm not, no.
The objection is sustained.
Were there any specks of blood on the grip of the weapon?
Objection, assumes facts, not evidence as phrased, the word is facts.
Well, let me.
Is there any blood whatsoever? If I'll change the question to
I have no
that,
objection to that question.
then you can
And it has nothing to do
then
with
you can get into amounts. First, you have to start out, and then you can work backwards.
Baby steps first.
All right.
Was there blood on the grip of the weapon?
You know, I'm unable to comment on that because I did not see that gun in that fashion looking for blood, so.
Okay. You were asked some questions regarding the nail, and you were asked a number of questions as to whether the nail was recently broken, not recently broken. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So you aren't able to say whether the nail might have been broken the day before, 2 days before, anything such as that, correct?
Correct.
And the same would be true, it could have been broken earlier in the evening. If Ms. Clarkson was working, you're saying it could have been broken at the time that she was working, is that correct?
Yes.
And the same would be true of any of the number of bruises that you talked about. In other words, she could have been bruised, and she bruised more easily because of her medication when she was at work also, is that correct?
That's a good point. That's possible, but in this context, you have to put the totality of all the pictures and pieces. It looks like a puzzle, and this will be one factor to factor in my view.
Okay, so it's possible, it could be either, but you're saying that it's more possible, less possible,
It's more possible in this case, with the totality of everything put together.
because you have come to the conclusion that this was a homicide. That's why it's more possible, isn't that true?
Well, it's one factor I factored into the homicide.
As far as a medical finding is concerned, are you changing any of your testimony that an average person, you cannot tell how old a bruise is, in other words, date it between a half hour, an hour, 10 minutes, 3 hours?
I agree with that.
That, you're not changing any of that testimony, is that
No, I'm
correct?
not.
And would the same be true of any abrasion? You can't say if an abrasion is 10 minutes old, an hour old, or even how it was made.
I'll agree with that. That's possible, yes.
So when you say the totality of the circumstances, you're taking into consideration everything you saw at the scene?
No. Statement made, the scene itself, one factor, what we went through all last week, the physical evidence, the weapon, and the pants that were available to me at the time, and of course, her medical records.
Pants. Did you say?
Oh, pants. Of the alleged perpetrator, the pants I described last week.
Mr. Spector's pants?
Yes.
I see, okay. Right pocket, left pocket. What pocket had blood in it?
There's a left pocket.
Okay. Did the right pocket have any blood in it?
I don't recall any, but Dr. Hill will be able to answer that.
Okay, you read her file, but you defer to her in that regard, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and did you take into consideration whether or not Mr. Spector was right-handed or left-handed?
I did not.
Okay. Do you know that?
I
Do you
don't
know what
know.
he is? Dr. Pena, with reference to the nail, there was a picture that was put up, and I believe it was photograph 50, and I'd asked to be put up again because I wanted to ask you a few questions about it. It was the one that showed number 10 on the stairs, and I believe that that would be 53, maybe? 54, excuse me. Dr. Pena, this is about as clear as we're going to get with the overhead here, but this is the item here, number 10, that you found right here on the stairs. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is the tooth fragment, not a nail.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
If I misspoke, I apologize. This particular tooth fragment that was lost is the one that you looked at with Dr. Anselmo. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, and this was found by yourself, this tooth fragment, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and when you were, that means you went all the way up the stairs. When you're at the scene, you looked at it, and it's a very small, if you could just give the members of the jury just an idea, visually, if you had it in your hand, what it would have looked like.
Well, if you look at my thumb and index finger, just about like that. I want to say a little over 8, not a quarter of an inch, but getting close to it. And it's white, of course. That's about it. Everybody see? That's about what I'm looking at.
Okay. And were you able to clearly see that on the stairs?
Yes.
Okay, so it was visible. Was there a marker on it before you saw it?
I remember one of the detectives there that I pointed that out because I was walking up the stairs looking for more teeth fragments, and I pointed that one out. I believe they flagged it, or I call it flag it, or give it an item number at that time.
Okay, and did you look at all of the stairs areas and look for white objects that were of similar size?
To the best of my ability, I did only up to, not all the way to the top, but just in that general area where I found that one and down.
Okay, how about the first stair?
Yes.
Second one?
Yes.
Both on the stairs, the carpeted portion as well as the non-carpeted portions?
Yes.
Okay, and did you see any blood that was spattered or smeared anywhere on these stairs at all?
I don't recall looking for blood.
Okay, so you weren't looking for that, and it may or may not have been there, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then there was another particle of tooth that ultimately would turn out to be tooth that was a few steps up, is that true?
I believe so, yes.
And so you looked at that, and basically, is it your impression, based upon what happened, is that those particles, that particle number 10, basically flew out of Miss Clarkson's mouth and then landed on those stairs?
Yes.
Okay, and is it your view that whoever shot, if Ms. Clarkson shot herself, that could have landed right where that was? That would be consistent, is that correct?
That's possible, yes.
Okay. And would it also be inconsistent?
Are you kidding me?
If I could use Mr. Cutler here.
Botrix never woke his ass up. Hey, Botrix, you son of a bitch. How about you get out of bed this morning? What the hell are you doing?
If he was seated there, and if somebody was holding a gun and shot him, there'd be no way for that tooth to get where it was. Is that true?
Actually, that's incorrect. There's many different ways a shooter can be.
There's a message at the top. I wonder if this has anything to do with it. I wouldn't imagine so. Attention. What the fuck? Did it come through? No. Attention. Between August 19th and the 23rd, there will be no support due to staff vacations. Botrix has an entire staff that takes a vacation the same fucking week? What the hell?
I can't tell you from the autopsy, but the crime lab people will be able to reconstruct that better for you when they come.
Mm-hmm. So you would
Gabby
agree
throwing
that if,
chicken in the Discord is
somebody
freaking
were right in
amazing.
front of somebody holding a weapon, shooting straight, or in a straight angle, up and down, like this shot was, that
I love that the
if they
Discord's
were in
popping
front of
off,
them, that
y'all.
tooth wouldn't have been able
That's
to
what
go
we've been
through
working
them
on
and
for a
land
long
on the
time.
stairs. That would have been impossible.
Yes, no, that's outside this foundation based on the previous answer.
It depends. Are you able to testify to that?
No, I'm not.
Okay, all right.
Now, there were also some tooth fragments that didn't make it up on the stairs. They basically were on the floor. Do you recall those?
Yes.
Okay, so those would have been at a lower trajectory. Isn't that true?
I just say they're on the floor. Let's keep it simple for my sake.
And so basically, if somebody was holding a gun in somebody's mouth like this, that there's no way that those tooth particles
Dizzy
could have
doing work
gone
this
through
morning?
that
Thank you,
person if they
Dizzy.
were standing in front of them, like I am with Mr. Cutler. It would have been impossible for them to land and end up where they were.
Not if they're standing to the right or straddling him, they could certainly go.
But if they were in front, like I am now, that wouldn't be able to be happening.
We have so many talented people in the Buzz Nation that come through. In the Discord, which I'm going to post in the chat here, we have an area called Crafts, and we have lots of people who crochet and do some really cool stuff, man. And I'm blown away every day. Join the Discord if you have not.
Now, you talked about
Oh, yeah, do whatever you want.
medication,
That's awesome.
and in your previous testimony, you acknowledged that Ms. Clarkson was on medication and that medication would cause a person to bruise more easily. Is that correct?
Depends on the medication, that's correct.
Okay. We talked about the name of it, her being on it. We went through the medical records and so forth. And Mr. Jackson basically pointed out that it wouldn't, in and
Sinead with the share on the old X machine. Appreciate that.
itself, just by taking the medication, cause bruising. You understand that?
I understand that, yes.
And essentially, it would, though, typically if somebody gets touched or bumped, sometimes they don't get a bruise because of a very minor touch or a touch that doesn't create a lot of force. Isn't that correct?
That's correct, but there has to be significant force, no matter how easy you bruise, to bruise.
Okay. And do you know what the problem is with this medication? In other words, what amount of force is necessary, what the difference would be, anything such as that?
I do not.
But you know that Ms. Clarkson, in all of her medical records, talks about and emphasizes that she bruises very easily or has bleeding very easily. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so it would vary between individuals. Is that true? Even if the same person was on medication, one person might bruise more easily than another, even though they're taking the exact same medication. Isn't that true?
That's true.
So there's really no way of knowing exactly what variation there would be with a particular person. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, Dr. Pena, I want to show you a medical record here. Has the mark next to the order, and it's a
Quadruple E.
quadruple E. Ask if you are familiar with this document.
Thank you.
This is the one here. Here you go.
Yes.
Dr. Pena, do you recognize what that document is?
Yes, I do.
Make
Is
something
that one of the documents that you reviewed in this case?
Yeah.
Is that different than the hospital document that Mr. Jackson showed you regarding this falling accident that Ms. Clarkson suffered?
That's correct.
And is this basically a EMS or ambulance run sheet that is filled out by the Emergency Medical Services for the Los Angeles Fire Department?
Yes, at the scene where the accident occurred on her wrist. That's
Okay.
correct.
And does it give a date?
Yes,
12/24/01?
that's correct.
And basically a time of, it looks like 22:55 is when the call was made, and right after 2300 hours is when they got to the scene within a few minutes?
That's right.
Okay, and 22:55 is what time?
Coffee,
About
got probably nothing
10
in
o'clock
front
at
of me.
night, or
Huh? Well,
Yeah,
something's
it's
up.
o'clock?
to 11 o'clock.
Okay. You were asked about the
Pokemon,
number
getting a little bit
of
closer. Thank you, Shelly, with the 199, baby.
emails that were read to you by Mr. Jackson. Were you,
One away. Let me see.
if emails just like the ones that Mr. Jackson read to you, if she sent emails to some of people that she knew back in October, November, and December of 2002, would that be
I
something
think we're one
that was
over. I don't know. I think I miscounted this morning. Hold on. I'm sorry, Pokemon. I think you're starting a new will. What the fuck? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, Pokemon, that just started a new will. My bad. Sorry about that. But that new will's ready to rock and roll with you on there. So, but hell yeah, we have a will ready to rock, and I'm going to go ahead and start working on that as well after I do a little something. Nobody's talking about that.
consistent with the way you viewed Ms. Clarkson? In other words, the same type of emails to certain people showing that things were good, things were fine, she was optimistic, and so forth. Would that be something that would be inconsistent with how you viewed her state of mind?
No.
Okay. Now, you also heard some of the emails that we read that you were shown copies of and so forth, where she painted a different picture. So do you see an inconsistency in any of those emails?
Just
Grab that
only that
wheel.
she's under a little more stress because of the pain that she had throughout that year, and money seemed to be a little more tight. But that's, again, I think overall they're still pretty positive, even at that time.
Okay. Now, Dr.
Oh, shit,
Pena...
no, Jersey Jen, I didn't see that. My bad. Let me, actually, while I was up there, maybe I missed some stuff. I totally missed that one. My bad. Jersey Jen come through here gifting out a membership. Son of a bitch. Oh, man. All right. Hold on. That's actually going to... I have to do a little bit of work here. Hold on. I fucked this up. So she came in before the last Sheila Duffy. So Sheila Duffy and Pokebomb will be on the next wheel, and Jersey Jen's going to be at the bottom of this last wheel. And that's totally my bad. But that's how it came through here. So, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I did miss that. My bad. So let me fix this here. Yeah, Jersey Jen, you are now at the last one on this wheel. Yeah. Hope I can read here. I think I got this right. Thank you so much, Jersey Jen. Appreciate the shit of that. And welcome to the party. Whoever got that, I'm not sure who, but yeah, I'm going to start working on this now, and we'll rock and roll, baby.
For example, one of the
I'm glad you said that, though.
emails or statements that Mr. Jackson
I think I got
told
the
you
rest
about.
of them. I just there is a spot on the whatever I can go and look at the fan funding, and that's the only one that I actually missed there. So we got this.
talked about her doing her taxes.
Oh yeah.
And that would be for the year 2002, we would presume. Is that correct?
Yes.
Time in the house.
And would that be consistent with Ms. Clarkson not having worked at all that year?
No, I think she'd have to be working to be doing taxes. She made some money. I don't know how much you have to make to declare.
That's one of the objectives. You need an accountant for that. I mean, he may have a layperson's knowledge of it, I'm assuming.
Sustain as to the witness you're asking that. So the objection is sustained.
Oh, Queen Olive got it. Nice. And you're going to be getting some really cool content for members only soon. And, oh man, I'm excited about that stuff.
Dr. Pena,
I need to do that right now. The soap.
you talked about Dr. L, as you call him. I won't begin to try to pronounce his name, but his first name is Lakshmanan, is that correct?
Actually, it's Lakshmanan.
Lakshmanan, okay. Dr. Lakshmanan, and last name
You did it wrong again.
goes
It's
unsaid.
okay.
Did he...
Does he also go by the nickname Dr. Lucky?
That's a long time ago, you're right. It's-
I know I'm from. Sure, okay.
he's lucky
Here we
he's
go.
not
We're
here.
going to break down a little comedy club
Dr.
action.
Pena, did he get sent a bunch of material regarding Ms. Clarkson? In fact, he was sent 2 notebooks full of material regarding Ms. Clarkson. Is that true?
Yes.
We talked about that before. In fact, there's a letter where he sent 30 reports with attached emails from basically a number of people, and you got a copy of, or there was a CC.
We had a
to you
live
of
shot
that
of Phil
letter, but
today?
You actually never got it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Oh,
Okay.
got it, Evan.
And he got that
Son of a
in
bitch.
March of
Creepier than ever.
2005. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay. Now, would it also be, you talked about Dr. L. and his opinion, Dr. Sherry and his opinion. They would share your opinion that the medical findings at autopsy are not conclusive in this case. Is that correct?
Just from the autopsy alone, that is correct, the medical findings.
And the same would be true if you were asking, I asked a number of questions of you regarding whether or not this was
Miss Dina didn't
an
win this
accidental
will.
discharge
She's
of a
all over this son of a
firearm. In
bitch
other
from
words,
Phil
that can't
Friday.
be
I haven't seen her
ruled
this
out based
morning.
upon the medical findings. Isn't that true?
From the autopsy, that's correct.
Same thing Dr. L.
I don't
would
think she's
say.
ever
Is that
won a
correct?
will.
Yes.
She's been
Dr.
Sherry.
Sherry.
all of them,
And Dr.
basically.
Sherry's the doctor that you relied upon with your note to say that basically that Lana Clarkson could have, her heart could have been beating for a couple of minutes. Isn't that true?
No,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But the answer is no, it will stand.
Do people that either accidentally take their own life, do they have future plans?
I'm sorry, I don't quite understand your question.
Mr. Jackson talked about Ms. Clarkson having future plans and various things that she had scheduled to do, her taxes, for example. Do people that accidentally kill themselves with a firearm, do they have future plans?
I'm sure they do. 'Cause
Okay. Do people that take their lives intentionally have future plans?
I got to be careful on that. That's a tough one to answer. You need a psychiatrist to tell you about that. That's usually not correct.
Is there a microwave ding?
All the emails that you didn't consider, why didn't you ask for all this material that
Ready,
Dr. L
baby.
had?
New will going. Second
in
we're
his
filling.
possession?
Thank you guys so much for the support. And we'll get some shirts out today.
You may
At
ask.
least one.
Dr. L called me to his office one afternoon and informed me of the two binders Mr. Cord's referring to and did not want me to see them.
Was it after he had already reviewed them?
I don't even,
Speculation.
Are you able to answer that?
No.
All right.
Do you know whether he had reviewed them?
I don't know.
Did he show you the binders?
No.
If we could have exhibit
About 15 minutes till a wheel spin, folks. 15 minutes till a
52,
wheel
excuse me.
spin. Thanks, everyone, for coming in. I appreciate it. Kathy in the house. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for coming through this morning. All the lovely ladies hanging out. My coffee.
52? If you could look at exhibit 52, and this is a photograph or a series of photographs that you were shown on redirect examination. This item here that's on the shoe, is that the same item that's here on these?
Light just jumped in the
these
Discord.
are the
Hell yeah.
handles?
Yes.
Okay, these are the ones that you looked
Love
at,
it.
and you looked at these pantyhose. Is that correct? The ones that are shown in C1. Is that true?
That's correct.
Okay, and is that the item that's on the shoe?
Yes.
Okay, in other words, that's the same item that is on the pants that you saw on the shoe.
Well, I didn't see it, but that's what I was presented with as a question, yes.
And how did you make that determination? In other words, what told you that?
Well, it was posed to me as a question to interpret, and but I was unaware. I did not see it.
Okay, so how did you interpret that and give an answer to that question if you didn't see it?
I don't know.
Okay, well, you gave the answer, so I would presume you'd be the only one that would know. Am I correct about that?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, that's just the answer you felt that Mr. Jackson wanted you to give. Isn't that true?
Jackson, that's all you know.
You may ask.
Cutler's like, yeah, that's right. Sit there and shut the fuck up. Look at this dank ass. Look at this cup. Look at this sweet ass cup I got. This is a mug. Look at this thing. Look at this sweet freaking mug, huh? You going camping? What are you taking? Probably taking this guy. Probably taking this dude right here. Oh man! And where I'm not using the insulated one, I need to start sipping it because this thing gets cold a lot quicker.
You may answer the question. Is that why you answered the question that way?
I didn't know what it was. Mr. Jackson, when he presented to me, filled in the gap for me because I didn't see everything in this case. And if that's the Band-Aid, then that's where it would have been, and that's correct.
Okay. And he's filled in a few of the gaps for you in this case. Is that true?
That is correct.
Been very helpful to you and help you understand the evidence in this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this is an example of that. Exhibit 52, you're able to give expert testimony that the item on the pantyhose is the same item as on the shoe. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And where would we go look at the item that's on the shoe to compare the two to see if they are indeed the same?
That would be in evidence, and that would be with the Sheriff's Department.
Okay. So you're not aware of that item on the shoe being lost?
As far as I know, I don't know that.
Okay. But you remember seeing the item
Morning,
on the pantyhose.
Charlene.
In other words, C1 and C2, the two photographs there. Is that correct?
Actually, I did not know.
Is the first time you saw that is when Mr. Jackson put this very same picture up here. Is that true?
That is correct.
Okay, so you were able to look at the picture for the first time here today in court and come to an opinion that those two items were the same between B and C1. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And what is that white item on C1, what is it made of? If you could just describe to the jury, is it cloth? Is it plastic? Is it a combination?
I don't know. My understanding is probably cloth to support the portion in the shoe that you see in picture B.
Mm-hmm. Does the on C1, does that have a little blood on it?
It looks like it does, yes.
Okay. Do you know how that got there?
I don't know.
I mean, you can look at the picture, can't you tell?
I can't.
Okay. Now, when you were you were not asked any questions about the pantyhose on direct examination as far as whether you saw blood or not when Mr. Jackson first questioned, but you made mention of the fact that you saw specks of blood, little drops of blood on the pantyhose. Is that true or not true, Dr.?
Actually, that's true.
Okay. And when you say little drops, you're talking about things that you could see with the naked eye that look like a little pinhead size speck of blood. Is that true?
That I can't remember. I don't know how it was presented. That was from yourself. How it was presented to me. I don't recall.
Okay. All right. So, Dr. Pena, when you say you see a little spot of blood, are you talking about something the size of a quarter, size of a dime, smaller than that? All three?
I think what happened here, to be honest with you, and for the jurors too, is that when I described the blood on her left, on the left part of her
If anybody
pantyhose,
needs a coffee
it all
mug,
goes back to the coroner's office
there
when we
is
had the
a
body there and
Kool-Aid,
turned
drink
her
the
over, and the
Kool-Aid,
purge caused the
Murder
blood on the left
Church
hip.
exclusive
That's
coffee
where I
mug.
was confused on your questioning when you were asking me about the blood drops on her pantyhose. I think I took that out of context, and I apologize for that. I misunderstood your question initially.
Okay. Now, you saw the pantyhose and the victim at the scene. Is that correct?
Drink your Murder Church Kool-Aid out
Oh,
of.
yes, in a cursory manner, just as is shown there in picture A, sitting the way she is. That's correct.
Okay, and you can see that basically her pantyhose are exposed. In other words, there's no dress on or anything such as that, correct?
Correct.
And even though they look very dark when they're off and they're kind of crumpled up, they're kind of opaque, and you can see things more clearly when the backdrop is her legs, her legs that are presumably lighter. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, and that's where you saw the specks of blood, is when you were at the scene. Isn't that also true?
Objection, that misstates the testimony.
Are you able to answer whether that's where you saw the blood?
No, I can't.
All right.
Okay. Did you look?
I did a cursory exam of the clothing articles at the scene, and that's all I can tell you.
Damn it, Meg. I know. YouTube sucks at sending out those notifications. Welcome in here.
Now, Dr. Pena, you were asked a number of questions, and it was prefaced by this comment, if you were told. In other words, that an email said this or something else showed this or so forth. If you were told that Ms. Clarkson, in January of 2003, told people that she was unhappy with her job circumstances at the House of Blues, would that make any difference to you as far as your opinion as to her state of mind during that month?
No, it would not.
No, 8 minutes to a wheel spin,
Even if
guys.
she told other
8
people that
minutes
she
to a
was
wheel
happy
spin.
with her job at the House of Blues. In other words, she
Get a
told
wheel
different
spin
people
countdown.
different
That'd be
things.
cool.
It would not.
It's not a countdown clock. Countdown clock. I need a countdown clock, everyone.
If you were told that she told people, some people that she knew, especially people that she was trying to get entertainment work from, or people that she was trying to do business with in the entertainment field, she told them positive things about herself, but she told her personal friends, her friends that she wasn't trying to do work with, or her just, her more day-to-day friends, would you find that that would be inconsistent with what the truth was?
Not really, no.
Okay. So if I go to a bank and I try to get a loan and I'm telling them how, well, I'll withdraw that. Dr. Pena, with reference to Ms. Clarkson, was there any inconsistency with what she was telling people?
No black economist in the house.
If you were told that she made statements to people regarding her job at the House of Blues that it was, quote-unquote, beneath her, something that she, we'll just leave it at that for now, beneath her,
Full house in here
would that be
tonight.
inconsistent with
Tonight.
what
This
you were
morning.
told by Mr.
Thank you
Jackson?
so much for hanging out.
In the questioning that he was,
Not really, no.
okay. If she made comments to people that she felt embarrassed,
Joining the other, the new wheel. My phone will turn on here. Coming through the old Cash App, Kathy. Thank you so much, Kathy, coming through here and saying it's for the soap fund. Oh shit, that's what I like to hear. Bam, Kathy getting on here with a $10 Cash App holler. Insanity. Thank you so much. Filling up that second wheel now, baby. Soap fund filling up.
in other words, if you were told that she made statements that she felt embarrassed, that she was greeting people who she used to actually party with at the House of Blues, and that she felt that's not something she liked, would that be something that would be inconsistent with what Mr. Jackson was telling you?
I'm sorry, part of your statement, it's a very long question
Okay.
about partying with at the House of Blues,
Okay.
so I don't quite understand that part.
Do you know whether Ms. Clarkson actually used to go to the House of Blues as a customer before?
I don't know that.
Okay. Do you know whether or not when she started working at the House of Blues, she realized that she knew some of the people that were the guests there from her prior contact with the House of Blues?
I don't understand your question, prior
Okay.
contact.
He's almost
I'll
free.
withdraw
Our man is almost free.
In your records that you have, the statements that you have received by way of reports and so forth, without getting into the details of the statements themselves, are there a number of reports regarding statements of Lana Clarkson to other people regarding the House of Blues that you actually don't have to be told about, but that you actually have reviewed and read as you sit here today?
Yes.
Okay. And without getting into the details of those at this time, do some of those statements contradict what Mr. Jackson told you about these emails that he
It will be
cited
weird.
to you?
I'm
Some
not ready
of
for
them,
that yet.
do, yes.
It's like a coping mechanism for all of us, I feel like, at this point.
I'd like to approach, Your Honor.
All right.
Oh, son of a bitch. We're right there, folks. Less than 5 minutes, less than 4 minutes even.
Dr. Pena, just a few more
So
questions.
the
We're
will
going to finish
spin
up here.
commences
And I appreciate
right
your
here on Murder
patience.
Church.
You talked about your colleagues doing a peer review of your work. Is that correct?
In what context, peer review?
In other words, you used the term peer review
Of what?
Of this autopsy.
of this autopsy.
Okay, Dr. Sherry did the autopsy with me. He co-signed it. He's at the autopsy.
Right.
He's present. Dr. Lakshmanan was in on all the meetings. of course, and we met with all law enforcement, whoever wanted to meet with us, and so they're involved with the case. That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so Dr. Lakshman,
Just say L.
Dr. L, Dr. Lucky was not at the autopsy, is that correct?
Correct.
Dr. Sherry was there, is that true?
Yes.
But he basically observed you do your work essentially, and to the extent you needed help, he helped, is that
He
true?
assisted. Yeah, he was cutting with me, actually.
Okay. And were there any other doctors there to watch you do your work?
Yes, Dr. Andrews, the neuropathologist, came at the point where I had to take the brain out and the spinal cord of Miss Clarkson.
Okay, any other doctors?
That's it.
Okay, how about Dr. Bodden?
Oh, I'm sorry, he was present.
Okay. And did he observe you do your autopsy work?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And did that include your looking into the oral cavity to see the gunshot residues and things of that nature that you talked about?
Yes.
Okay. And when you open the mouth so that you could see the mucosa, the inside of the lips, he was there for that, is that correct?
Yes.
And basically these marks that were on the inside of the lips, the little cuts from the teeth that you call pseudo-stippling, those were obvious to the naked eye, is that correct?
Yes.
And those indicate that the lips were closed around the barrel of the gun. Isn't that true, Dr.
Oh, that's
Pena?
not correct. No, be careful.
You be careful. Oh, you want to rile up Dr. Pena, then we got a problem.
Now,
I haven't had to change this
do you know
witness
whether
name in so long,
Dr.
it's going to feel weird
L
changing it.
looked at all the photographs
remember.
of the autopsy?
Yes, he did.
Colors over
Okay, how
there
do you know
laughing
that?
around, smiling for a
He
bud.
looked at him.
Okay, how do you know that?
I was with him.
Check
Okay, you reviewed those with
Larry
him?
Fiddler
Yes.
in just a moment.
Okay, and
Judge Dowhart.
do you know whether he looked at all the
Stick
photographs of the
proverbial
scene?
foot up your
Yes,
ass.
he did.
And do you know if Dr. Sperry did the same thing?
Dr. who?
I mean, Perry, excuse me.
Sherry?
Sherry, excuse me.
Damn, Adam
Yes, he did.
Malone
Okay.
coming through here with a
And
$10 holler.
when did he do
Thanks
that?
a lot, dude. This is the
Boy,
guy that
at some
actually
of the
created
meetings, I
the
can't remember the exact
theme.
dates up now.
When it first comes
He
on
was-
here
he
on
saw
Murder Church,
them.
that
Okay,
opening
and
when Phil made the actual visual,
You
but the
had
sound, the
meetings
music in the background
with
was made
the
by that dude right
district
there,
attorney's
Adam
office. Was
Malone.
Dr. L
Thanks,
there
dude. Appreciate
sometimes?
that, dude.
He was
And
there
you're getting
all
on a
the
fucking
time.
wheel
And was Dr. Sherry there sometimes?
Sometimes.
for a possibility of winning a shirt. A dank ass Publicly Buzzed
Yeah,
shirt.
just a minute,
Best
Your Honor,
merch in
I'm
true
almost
crime.
done.
If I may toot my own horn, which I'm gonna.
Is it clear to you, Dr. Pena, that from the totality of all the information
We're
that
so close, guys.
you looked at,
We're so close.
that Miss
Oh
Clarkson,
God,
as
less
of
than a minute left
the 3rd
with
of
Dr.
February
Pena.
of,
Dr. Pena
2003,
emojis in the chat.
had tried to stop drinking and using drugs, but she failed to accomplish that in her life as of that
Gonna
date.
miss you, sir.
Oh, that's incorrect.
Okay.
I like it.
Excuse me.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
You're
Nothing
very
further.
welcome.
Thank you. Redirect.
God almighty.
Mercifully, Your Honor, we have no further questions.
All right. Subject to recall. Thank you very much for being
Like,
here.
you
If I
can't
were you,
even-
I would get out the back door as fast as I could.
Bro, you gotta run.
You may step
Dr.
down.
Pena's gotta
Thank you very
run.
much.
We will be in recess until
All right, we're about to spin
tomorrow
this one,
at
guys.
9:30 in the morning. Keep in mind
I'm
the
interested to
admonition,
see
ladies and
what's
gentlemen, will
up
be at
next.
9:30 in the morning. Thank you.
See what crosses over here. What do we got here? Detective Mark Lilienfeld, L.A. County Sheriff's Detective Mark Lilienfeld. We'll see how close I got on that. I think I know that. Takes the stand. So we got a detective. I'm going to go ahead and take his name here so I can make the change the name on the screen for just a moment. Boom. Takes 2 seconds. Thanks everyone for hanging out this morning. Please hit that like if you have not yet. Again, I have a link also on the old X Machine on Twitter. If you could share that out, that would help me out greatly. Appreciate her. Let me go ahead and just fix this while I'm thinking about it, because I usually forget, and then all of a sudden we've got a random name that is not the current name. Boom. Here we go. All right, we got a wheel spin ready to go right now, folks. So let's rock and roll. Good luck to everybody. And yeah, I've got a camera set up, ready to go, baby. On those DVDs is nothing but insanely old classic 80s wrestling. Good luck, everyone. Good spin. Oh, yeah, baby. That thing's going to fly off. Damn, what happened here? Oh, shit. Finally! 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 Miss Dina finally wins one of these fucking shirts. She's been putting into this fucking wheel. She's been throwing money into this bucket for 2 months. Miss Dina, come on down. Let's go. Yes. Hell yeah. Congratulations. I haven't seen her this morning, but she's going to be freaking stoked. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the wheel, on the list, in the winner's bracket right now. Holy shit. I'm excited for her because she has been, dude, she's one of the most supportive people of Publicly Buzzed, period. She's fucking amazing. Just got modded up recently as well. I'm excited for that, man. That's freaking cool. All right. So yeah, let me get you in here, Miss Dina. The next round of shirts should be going out. Let me see. What's the date right now? Because I've got to wait. I get paid again on the 21st of August. So when I get the YouTube money dropping in, I'll be sending out another round of shirts. And let me see where we're at on those. Let's see who's going next here. We are up to Dom's mom. Wait, nope, Dom's mom's already got hers going. Should already maybe even have it. Sorry, hold on. Oh, we're up to Kaya. Has got one coming. Kaya's got one coming. Taryn Dusty, Queen Olive, Pammy, Kitty C, Simi Sharp, Tasha, Wildside. All of those are the next rounds that will be going out next week. And then, yeah, we continue to play catch up on this wheel, which is absolutely amazing. You guys are tremendous. Anybody that does not have their memberships turned on, make sure you do so because we have amazing people. We're already working on a second wheel, and will we catch it? That will be the question today. We shall see. Oh, yeah, man, I'm freaking pumped. Good morning, Tina. Welcome in here. Good timing also. But hell yeah, Miss Dina deserves that. She is awesome. Oh, she's sleeping in today. Oh, man. I know she deserves to sleep in. She puts in a lot of work, dude. She is one of the coolest fucking people. She's freaking supportive as hell. Like, yeah, dude, so positive. Her energy rules. Like, she bought a Feral Friday shirt on Friday. Like, she is amazing. I can't stop saying cool things about her. See, I'm really glad she won, man. But if you want a shirt, you want the possibility to win a shirt, make sure you get on that wheel. Boom. All right, folks, let's keep rolling here. Again, we got an hour and a half right here. It's 10 o'clock. We're going to make it through this. Again, Detective Mark Lilienfield. Let's see how close I got to his name.
Mark Lilyfield.
Lilyfield. I added an N in there. Mark Lilyfield.
K-L-I-L-L-I-E-N-F-E-L-D.
Hell yeah. Rocking and rolling on Murder Church, baby. Thanks, everyone. Love it. Building this thing up.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before I do that, I have a number of
That's Judge
weapons
right there.
that this detective will
Sinead
talk
said,
about.
"We're
They've
getting
all
on this
been
son of a bitch
safety
again,
checked
baby."
with your bailiff, and I
Coming
was
into the
gonna
next
leave
wheel,
them up
Sinead.
to the witness
Two-time
stand
winner.
so He can get to them when he wants to. Or
Who has two shirts
Yes.
coming on the way. Like last week, I was so hyped up for her as well.
May I proceed?
You may.
Thank you.
No one's,
Good
I want
morning.
to say that before we really get rolling here. No one's won twice in one night or day or morning, however you want to say it. But Sinead last week, back-to-back wills. That's pretty cool. And I don't even think she like went deep into the will. I think it was one name on each will. I could be wrong there, but
Detective,
Good morning.
thank you for being here. I think you traveled
thank you so much.
a long distance to get here, all night to get here, didn't you?
I did.
Okay, well, we'll keep that
Five
in
on a
mind.
new
Thank
wheel.
you very much.
My God, you guys are way
I'd
too
like to,
generous. Fucking amazing. Love you
initially ask
guys.
you, what do you do for a living?
I'm a Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriff. I'm assigned to Detective Division, Homicide Bureau, where I work as a homicide detective.
How long have you been a member of the Sheriff's Department here in Los Angeles County?
I like that.
This is my
I like the way that
27th
sounds,
year.
Actually.
And you went through the normal training and
Messenger
the
right
like,
now.
obviously.
Yes, sir.
You're going to put in Discord.
When did you come to your present assignment?
This is my 16th year as a homicide detective.
So you've been in the Sheriff's Homicide Bureau for 16 years.
Yes, sir.
And
16
on
years.
February 3rd of 2003, was that your job?
Yes, sir.
Prior to that date, how many crime scenes do you think you'd been to?
Prior to that date, about, I would guess, between
Charlotte,
300
with
to
the
500.
with the share out on the X machine, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Amazing.
So it's fair to say
Charlotte in
that
the future,
in
by
your
the way. I'm gonna
years
share that
at the
with
Sheriff's
myself.
Homicide
Get
Bureau,
another-
you've
get it out
investigated
there
many,
again.
many
not?
murder scenes. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On February
Sure,
3rd of
definitely coming back through $1
2003, did you have an
holla.
occasion to go to
Get it.
1700
Let's fill this
Grandview
thing
in
back up.
Alhambra?
We're halfway there now.
Yes.
Halfway to another
Excuse
will.
me, could I ask you to put up People's 21? Your Honor, we're going to put up People's 21 for identification. Detective, would you please look at
Oh.
the screen and tell us if you recognize either in photograph A or B the scene shown in those two photographs?
I do.
And what is that?
On the screen in photo A is the home at 1700 Grandview. In the center of the photo A is the house itself, and it's depicting the front yard of the home and the front of the home. Just below the house, there's a series of steps leading down, and then the street to the left side of the photo in photo A is actually Grandview Avenue, or Grandview Drive, I believe. And there's a driveway off of that street leading to the interior of the property.
Your Honor, may I approach? I have a laser pointer, and we only have
Yeah,
a
you're
budget
awesome.
for one of these, so I'm going to give it to Detective Louisville. And you can use that in any way you need to try to help explain your testimony here, okay?
Okay.
All right. About what time did you arrive at this location?
About 2 o'clock in the
what's up?
afternoon.
Why did you go there?
Myself and my partner were asked to go there by the supervising lieutenant who's in charge of the team of detectives that had the investigative responsibility.
And the lieutenant was already at the residence?
Yes, sir.
In your earlier answer, you said you had a partner. What was that partner's name?
Sergeant Steve Katz, K-A-T-Z.
Now, when you arrived at the scene, did you have a conversation with the lieutenant?
Oh, I can totally see
Yes.
that.
And at some point, were you assigned a specific duty with respect
It's like
to this
Robin
crime
Williams in a
scene?
character.
Yes.
And what was that?
I was assigned to be the lead.
So, and this, I may even do it. You know, I have weird kicks of watching movies. You know, like I just get in a vibe or whatever. But yesterday, I came within an inch of watching 1 Hour Photo. You guys remember that one with Robin Williams? I found this article just kind of talking about the in-depthness of the character and how on set he was cutting up and trying to like keep it fun still and like a very morbid sense, you know, like that's one of the darkest characters, maybe the darkest character ever played. He has a few serious roles, but man, that one, dude, Robin Williams, when he died, man, like that was one of the first ones. Like, you know, celebrities dying sucks, and you know, anybody that you watch and you're close to, I don't know, you know the vibe. But man, when he hit, that sucked, man. Like I remember reading that. I think it was on Twitter, and I was just like, fuck. Like major part of my childhood growing up, major part was Robin Williams movies when a new one would come out. Like
Detective in charge of the crime scene and processing the evidence and taking overall responsibility for the events that occurred at the crime scene.
Can you expand on that? What does that mean to the rest of us?
Well, because it was a large scene and there was a lot of physical evidence there, we called in a lot of personnel from the Homicide Bureau and from the Crime Lab to assist in processing it. And my responsibilities were to supervise and direct those people.
Cindy, can we go to 24, please? I'm now going to ask you to look at People's 24 for identification and tell us if you recognize what is shown in this photograph. As you can, now we can see it. Thank you, Sue. People's 24 is an exhibit with 4 photographs. Could you take a moment and look at those and tell us if you recognize any or perhaps all of those photographs?
I recognize all 4 of them.
And going through A through D, please explain what they are.
Photograph A in the upper left-hand corner is a depiction of the front driveway and the gated entrance to the property. The black vehicle in the upper left portion of the
Michelle, good morning. Welcome in here.
is a Mercedes-Benz 4-door that was involved in this incident that
flubber.
belonged to Mr.
Classic.
Spector. The other vehicle is, I believe, a detective car. There's yellow crime scene tape across the center of the photo that delineates one of the perimeters to keep onlookers and people that
Does
don't
the
have a reason to be
graphics
there
or
out. In
animation
the center
or
right of the
computer
photo are the two
enhanced whatever
pilasters that open up a
with flubber, does
metal
it hold
gate that
up?
allows access for a vehicle
It's
or
like
a person.
97, I believe. if I'm not
Photo
mistaken.
B is actually looking at the same area as photo A, but from a different angle. It's inside of the property, looking east, and the vehicle in the center of photo B is actually the Mercedes-Benz. And photo C is taken at the bottom of the driveway, looking up a series of steps and landings that lead to the front door of the home. And photo C, I'm sorry, that's photo C. Photo D in the lower right-hand corner of the exhibit is taken from the uppermost landing of the series of steps, and that's the front door of the house.
By the way, at some point you learned that this whole search for evidence was pursuant to a search warrant, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But was there any indication
good
that there was a
morning.
camera anywhere in the house?
We're just talking a little
Yes,
Robert
there's
Williams
a,
in the chat here. This guy
A
on the
video
stand sort of
camera
looks like
that
him.
is set up for monitoring purpose. It doesn't record any of the images. It simply watches the driveway entrance, and it's on top of one of the two pilasters
About
in
an hour and
photo
a
A,
half. A little less than
right
that, of
where
course,
the
now.
laser pointer's at.
This gentleman.
It's
Feels weird not
mounted
having
on
Dr.
top of
Pena,
there to
though.
look down onto the
I have to
driveway there,
admit.
so that an occupant inside the home looking at a monitor could see who was pulling up to the gate and announcing themselves.
It is, Susan.
And
Suzanne. Basically, like I said this earlier, but yeah, it's feeling a lot better. Friday and yesterday and today, knock on wood, have felt the best. So like there was like a lingering weird pain that would kind of happen off and on, and like my head was kind of feeling weird. I think I'm good though. I'm going in the morning for another checkup to see exactly, I guess, where my eye pressure is and to see, talk to the doctor. But I was praising the doctor earlier for being so cool, actually, because if anybody's heard me rant on here about doctors and anything like that, about anything essentially that's happening in the world, I don't trust it. I don't trust much. So, she's been amazing, dude. Like she's one of the good ones. Like she actually listens to you, which is rare in a doctor. She's awesome. She's really, really cool. And I was pretty open Friday about how freaked out I am about the situation, because if you start reading about this shit online, I waited a long time before I actually went, and that's not good. So I don't know, but yeah, it's doing a lot better now. Again, knock on wood for me.
as far as you determined throughout your search of this house, and by the way, how long were you there?
Almost 30 hours total over a 2-day period.
So going into February 4th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And during that 30 hours there, as far as you learned, this was the only camera on the property, is that correct?
Camera of that type, yes.
Yes. Oh, right. Video, surveillance camera. We should
Yep.
make yourselves clear. All right. Sudi, can we go to tab 40? Your Honor, I'm going to put up another exhibit here. I believe it has not been marked, and I'd ask that it be marked as People 60. I think that's next.
I think
in
you're
order.
on 59, but let me double check. 59.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Afton Ford with the share over on the old X machine. Thank you so much.
And this
Appreciate
is
that.
a diagram
Spreading
of
the
1700
word, spreading the
Grandview
gospel.
Avenue in Alhambra. It's now our 59 for identification. Do you recognize this, Detective?
Yes, sir.
I have to go
And
upstairs
could you briefly, with your
use the
laser
bathroom.
pointer, tell us what we're
had a
looking
lot
at?
of liquids in me this morning.
That's an aerial diagram of the residence. It's a very large structure.
Oh, I haven't seen
and
that
it's, as you can see, rectangle with wings on either end.
Look at the castle.
It depicts at the bottom
Freaking
of
large.
the diagram.
I'm actually going to put that address over here so I can inspect further on Google. Yeah.
Is the back door, which is right where I have the laser pointed, and at the top of the diagram, of course, is a front door. Then not depicted on the diagram is those steps that lead down quite a steep grade onto the driveway. The driveway encircles this entire side of the structure, which is the west side. In looking at this diagram, south is at the bottom, north is at the top.
Yeah, we just
Look at
looked
this.
at some.
Look at this from above. How much this is all him. All of this. Like you see all these neighborhoods, all these houses on top of each other. This is the castle. It even has it's called the castle. Jesus. Look at this.
Some photographs in people's 24 for identification, and those were of what portion of this diagram?
The photo where the Mercedes-Benz vehicle was parked is actually not on the diagram, but the steps that were leading up to the front door is where I have the laser pointed now at the top of the diagram.
Thank you. Later, after you arrived, did you go into a portion, you went throughout the house, is that correct?
I did, sir.
And at some point, you found the victims, the deceased, in the house. Would that be close to where it says foyer on the foyer on the map?
Yes, sir.
On the diagram? Could you point to that, please? Okay, thank you. Can we next go to the next diagram? Another diagram, Your Honor, and this one would be people 60 for identification. Okay.
Trying to go around the house here so you could see it.
Now we have people 60 up for on the screen. Do you recognize that, Detective?
I do.
And could you please explain to us where that is in relationship to the rest of the house and what this diagram attempts to show?
That diagram shows the back door of the home, a portion of the driveway, and the foyer.
Yeah, who got all the money when he died in prison? I wonder.
The car that's the
him being a greedy fuck, you know, he's giving it to
that you looked at earlier in the exhibits where it was parked at the bottom of the driveway. Just above the car in the diagram is several steps that lead to the back door. In the diagram, the back door is open. The laser is on where the back door is open.
That shit with Matthew Perry is crazy. I need to actually dig into that. Like, I think that's going to be a hot, wild story. It is, not think, but I haven't had time to dive into it.
Miss Clarkson's remains were inside the foyer here, which is where I have the laser pointed now. To her right in this diagram was a 3-drawer wood bureau, and then to the right of that was a matching chair to the one she was seated in, and I believe that circle represents a large, I think it's a Chinese vase.
Looking at people's 60 for identification, our diagram that we have in front of us, near where the Mercedes or where the car is shown, was there a water fountain or some kind of fountain off the diagram?
Yes.
In the area, approximately where in relationship to the front door or the back door?
I need to get with
and
Warren
the automobile?
If the diagram extended, it would be roughly where I have the laser at the bottom of the exhibit here is where there is a large circular fountain.
Could you describe it for us in any greater detail?
All right, I'm going to run upstairs, use the bathroom. We'll be right back, guys. We just hit 50 people hanging out in here. Thank you all so much. Hit that like if you have not. Let's go.
A 2-tiered large fountain, bigger than this witness stand that I'm seated in, and it was turned on. There was water coming off of the top tray that fell down into a pool, and then it was recycled up back into the top tray.
During the 30, did you say you spent 30 hours there? 30 hours?
Just under 30 hours, yes.
30 hours that you spent at this property during your investigation, did you spend any time at all in the area that we're now looking at, talking with people, discussing things?
Yes.
And when you were doing that, was the water fountain on?
Yes.
Did you have any problem talking to anyone there?
No.
Or was the water fountain such that you had to yell to communicate?
Excuse me, Your Honor. I'm going to object because we don't know where there is at this point. Is he talking about in the foyer where he was searching or out by the...
If the objection is it's vague, sustained, you can be more precise.
Did you ever have any conversations while you were there in the vicinity of where the automobile is shown on people 60 for identification?
Yes.
And did you carry on those conversations in a normal tone, or did you shout or yell because of the water fountain?
In a normal tone.
And did you have any problem hearing the person that you were talking with because of the water fountain?
I did not.
All right, thank you. Can we go to people 25, please? Thank you. This next exhibit, People's 25 for identification, is a series of 5 photographs, A through E. And could you take a moment and look at those, and then we'll talk about them.
Okay.
You recognize it?
I do.
Okay, and going first A and then going to E, tell us what we're seeing.
Photo A in the upper left corner of the exhibit is a depiction of the back door, the fountain, and the motor court. You can tell from looking at the photo, you can actually drive a vehicle between the back door and the fountain where I have the laser pointed. Photo B is a photograph of the back door that depicts the inside of the foyer. Looking all the way through the photo, in the center of the photo of B on this exhibit is actually the front door of the home. The back door and the front door are aligned perfectly with each other, and you're looking, the red carpeting is of the foyer. Photos C, D, and E on this exhibit are all different angled photos of the same back door of this home.
So B, C, D, and E are all the photographs of the same back door.
Yes, sir.
Correct. In photograph A, we see the water fountain that you were trying to describe, correct?
Yes.
Certainly looks at least as big as the witness stand.
Yes.
Right.
we back,
And
baby.
what would be the distance between one edge of that water fountain and this back door? Can you tell me to stand someplace in the courtroom that would approximate that?
Probably back, just behind the bar, probably to the first row of the gallery.
It's a distance of about 21 feet.
Thank you, Your Honor. And so that was the distance between one edge of the water fountain and the back door. A car could easily drive in there, maybe two cars, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. Let me ask you a couple questions before we continue about the process that you are going to be involved in as the lead detective for this crime scene. Does the Sheriff's Department have a number of sets of numbers that they use in connection with this?
Yes.
And could you describe those for us? For example, is there a number that's assigned to the crime and then a number assigned to pieces of evidence? And just take us through that.
There is. The Sheriff's Department indexes all crimes by a long 17-number sequential series of numerals that actually mean something to us. And they do it numerically so that we can keep track of how many robberies or murders or Part 1 crimes that we have and so on and so forth. So this particular case was assigned a long character of numbers that designated this being as the Lana Clarkson murder case. And then when we process a crime scene and we pick up evidence, whether there's a single piece of evidence or 100 pieces of evidence, we have these tags, evidence markers that are item 1 through 100 or 1 through whatever number need be, and we simply set those down next to a piece of evidence. And that way, for our purposes, when we're describing the evidence or showing it in photos,
Gypsy's doing good,
or
Bobby,
later
also.
on for court presentation, we can refer to it
Knock on wood
and index
again.
it
I think
easier that way
I've had her doing
to keep
good.
track of the evidence.
So
Months now.
a number that's assigned to the crime,
a lot.
and in this
Trying to figure
situation,
all that out.
the Lana Clarkson murder crime scene or case is unique. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then the rest of the numbers that you talked about would be assigned to specific pieces of evidence.
That's correct.
Is there any logic or method on how you assign these numbers to the pieces of evidence? You work from one place to another?
Normally, we do. There's several different methods to do it in an orderly manner so that it makes sense. And if you have a small crime scene, say something contained in a room this size, you would simply, in the case of a murder, you would start at the decedent, at the victim, and work your way out. The numbers would grow bigger. You would make number 1 the item closest to the victim. In this particular case, because it's a huge house, it's over 8,000 square foot, and it's 2 stories, and there was, I think, 10 bedrooms and 8 or 9 bathrooms. In that case, it's a little difficult to do. So I was kind of the number sheriff, and I would delineate and hand out numbers to the other detectives that were processing items of evidence throughout the home and the property.
But the way this is, and then we'll get to the actual, what you found there in a few moments, but to complete this idea of what you're doing, because it's a big crime scene and a big house and had the potential of a lot of pieces of evidence in it, you work with a number of other detectives in going through this house and looking for evidence. Is that correct?
Yes.
And as the lead person, is there some method that you work with the other detectives by to locate all the evidence so that you see it all and you're responsible for it all?
Yes, it's
Explain that for us, please.
no different than
Every time it gets me.
handling a
Live shot
huge
of
crime
Phil.
scene like the World Trade Center.
The
It
dual
simply is
Spector.
divvied up, compartmentalized, and you pick two detectives. Okay, you
Right
two
above
guys
me.
handle the master bedroom. You detective, you handle the living room.
Exclusive
You two
murder
detectives
trick
go
shot.
handle
No one
the-
else has
the
ever
dressing
gotten that.
room. You two guys go process the kitchen. You two guys do this and that. And if you find evidence, then call me, and I'll hand you a number, or assign a number to you, and we'll number the evidence in that manner. It's somewhat causes a little bit of out of sequence, but it makes the most sense to everybody. That way, those individual detectives will write their reports, and they can document that they picked up 3 or 4 pieces of physical evidence. And they may be out of numerical sequence, but when you look at all of the reports written by the 6 or 8 detectives present, then it all kind of comes together, completes the story, makes sense.
So the idea is that, for example, if I'm at a crime scene with you and you're the lead detective on this and I'm assigned to the shopping cart here, and I find a piece of evidence, do I call your name out and say, Detective Lilyfield, come over here, I found something before it's moved?
Yes.
And then is it photographed and assigned a number?
Yes.
And so that you, as the lead detective on looking for all the evidence, see it in its original position before it's found, even though I might have seen it first.
That's correct.
Looking at people's 25 here up on the screen, as you told us here, you were called out to the scene where Lana Clarkson was murdered, and that was obviously the focus of this investigation, correct?
Yes, sir.
Where was she in relationship to, for example, photograph D?
Photograph D is the back door. It's open, and she was just inside the back door, and to the right-hand side of the back door as you're looking at the open door in that exhibit.
Thank you. Now we've blown that up. So actually, just right inside this door.
Yes.
Could I have a moment, please, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, we have another exhibit that I'd like to mark. It's People 61 for identification. It's 2 photographs, the victim at the crime scene.
All right, so Mark.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Trigger
Looking at
warning
these 2
possibly here.
photographs in People's 61 for identification, A and B, do you recognize what is shown in these photographs?
Yes, I do.
And please, starting with photograph A, describe for us what you saw at the crime scene.
Photograph A is Ms. Clarkson as I saw her seated in the chair there in the foyer. She's slumped in the chair. Her head is obviously turned to the left, which is towards the back door of the home. Behind the chair is a large mirror. The chair is up against a wall. You can see in the photo on the left-hand side of the photo, a couple of those little blue dots are actually paramedic electrode pads that paramedics use to determine if there's a heartbeat or not. And just underneath, I believe, between her legs at the bottom of the photo, just above the letter A, is what I think is another paramedic electrode pad. And then to the right of her left leg there, I believe is the butt of a gun that was next to her left ankle. Photo B is the same thing. It's Miss Clarkson seated in the chair, but from a different angle. Looking at the far right of the photo, you can see the back door. You can see that it's open, and you're looking out towards the fountain is what's depicted in that photo. Where I have the laser pointed is actually the fountain. I believe just coming inside the door to the left of the door, looking from this angle, is a chair that's a matching chair to the one Miss Clarkson's in. Inside of that chair was a brown leather valise that had the initials PS on it. And then next to that chair is a brown wood 3-drawer bureau with a kind of a granite top and a couple of framed photos on top of it. And then, of course, next to that, within arm's range, is Miss Clarkson's chair, where she's seated.
And at this time when you arrived, you obviously saw that Miss Clarkson had died from a gunshot wound to the mouth. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you to look at photograph A and B in this exhibit, People 61, and there's a leopard skin handbag, correct?
Yes, sir.
Could you describe that and how it's sitting there in the chair and on her hand or arm for us, please?
That leather handbag has long straps on it, and the 2 straps from either end of the handbag are actually wrapped around her shoulder, and then it's somewhat twisted as she's seated in the chair. It's not perfectly aligned, it's twisted, if that makes sense. And the bottom of the bag is resting on the floor. Her right hand is resting
paw?
on top of
You say her right paw and then changed it to hand?
the handbag.
Did I hear that right? Or am I losing my mind?
Yeah, that's. Your Honor, if I just have a moment, we're going to put up another exhibit. I'm going to ask it to be marked as People's 62, and this would be a little bit more.
Did I hear that?
Of what we're talking about.
All right.
Am I
It's going to be a
crazy?
photograph?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right,
Yes.
so marked.
And the document that we have up on the screen, Your Honor, I'd like to mark as People 62 for identification.
I think that's what I heard. He called her right
for photographs
hand
A
a
through
paw
D.
before he corrected himself.
Detective, would you please look at that and tell us if you recognize that, please?
I do.
I mean,
Hold up! Hold up! Hold up!
And what do we see in those 4 photographs?
Again, in photo A, in the upper
That's
left corner.
insane. All right,
Ms.
at least I'm not
Clarkson slumped in the
crazy.
chair. Her right hand is on the purse. And again, in the right-hand corner of that exhibit,
He's,
you
like,
can see
really
the open
working hard
back
down
door
at the call
leading
to
to the
Paul.
fountain. Photo B is a close-up of Ms. Clarkson and the purse. It's intertwined around the right wooden arm of the chair.
Next to her right hand?
That's
Is that correct? And did it have some blood stains on it?
It did.
Okay, thank you.
And
you
photo
complete-
C depicts it's just a close-up of the purse as it's resting on the floor. And in the lower left corner, that photo is actually the leg of one of the chairs. And photo D is a similar photo from a different angle.
Thank you. We're going to go back to People's 61 for identification. There we go. I'd like you to, if you could, with your since we're sharing laser pointers here, could you go back to photograph B, Ms. Clarkson's foot, either left or right there. Did you have an occasion to look at that and notice a wire nearby?
I did.
Underneath it. And, Your Honor, we're going to put up another exhibit, and this would be People
been called
63
crazy
for,
before.
oh, excuse me, I think this is 52B. That's how it's already been previously marked.
All right.
Can we do that, Sudi, or do you want to mark a new one?
I'll mark this.
Okay, we're going to mark this as People 63 for identification, if that's all right, Your Honor.
All right.
And is this a close-up of the area that we were just looking at in People 61?
Yes, sir.
And what do you see here? What can you describe for us?
The top portion of the photo shows Ms. Clarkson's legs. Her left foot's at the top of the photo, her bottom foot's in the center of the photo, and underneath her right foot, there's a wire that's, you can see the string running from that to the bottom of the photo. That wire belongs to a taser, dart, and cartridge.
And does it look like the wire got caught somehow under her foot?
It does.
And could you describe that for us? Is her foot, the front part of her foot up, and so that it got caught underneath her?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. I think that's leading the witness.
Sustained.
Can you describe that for us, please?
I can. The cartridge portion of the wire would be at the lower part of the screen. It's not depicted, obviously, in this exhibit. And also not depicted would be the dart portion of the wire, which I believe would be either under her right foot or between her left and her right foot.
So it appears that the wire was somehow caught under the heel of her foot?
Yes.
Okay. Can we go back to 61? We're going to return to 61, and I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, please. In 61A, in an earlier answer, you told us that you saw the butt of a gun in this photograph. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes, sir.
And where was that, using your laser pointer?
Just in photo A on this exhibit, it's just to the left of her left ankle there. It's hard to tell from this photo, but you can see there's obviously a defect in the color from the carpeting. And that's what I believe is a handgun.
At some point, did you recover that?
I did.
And did you give it an item number?
Yes, sir.
And that was item number?
1.
All right. Your Honor, we'd like to mark another exhibit. This would be People 64.
All right.
And this is, yes, here we have 5 photographs as People 64 for identification. Detective, would you please look at that and tell us what you see in each of these 5 photographs?
In photo A in the upper left corner is obviously a depiction of Miss Clarkson as she laid in the chair. You can see on the right-hand portion of the photo the 3-drawer bureau I was talking about. Next to that is a chair with her remains. Next to her left foot, you can see the yellow item number with the numeral 1, and just under her left ankle is the handgun. Photo B is a close-up shot of the handgun with the item marker with the number 1 on it. Photos C is a criminalist from the crime lab that's holding the weapon after it was picked up and the cylinder was opened. Photo D is the same depiction, just from a different angle. It shows the open cylinder, the gun's in the criminalist's hands, and I believe you can see the 5 live cartridges and the 1 spent cartridge. And then photo E is taken against the envelope the gun was secreted in once it was seized, and that shows the left-hand side, or the cylinder opening side of the weapon.
Detective, as we look at People's 64C for identification, the weapon being held there by, as you said, a criminalist, I see that they're using gloves. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why was that?
So as not to disturb any forensic matter that was on the gun. It was covered in blood.
Oh, shit. Miss Dana coming through the door this morning. A winner! Did you see it in Discord? You haven't seen it yet. You are a winner. You won the first wheel spin this morning. You got yourself a shirt. Yes! 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 I was so pumped up about it also. You've been working your ass off, getting on that wheel, and you got yourself a shirt, Miss Dina. Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
And there was a white material on the front sight, the front ramp right at the edge of the muzzle.
Can you describe that any further, and using your laser pointer, point to it in 64C, please?
In 64C, it's going to be right where the laser is, next to the left thumb of the criminalist. And in 64E, it's going to be where the laser is. It's the front sight of the weapon.
In 64D, we see that the weapon, the cylinder's been opened. And could you tell us, was this weapon loaded or not?
Yeah, we're halfway to another will,
The
I
gun was
think.
loaded. It's a 6-shot Colt brand Cobra model revolver. It was loaded with 5 live rounds. 4 of those rounds were Smith & Wesson 38
halfway to another
plus
will already.
P rounds. One of those live rounds was a Spear, S-P-E-E-R brand round. And then underneath the hammer of the weapon was a spent Smith & Wesson plus P round, the cartridge casing.
So was the hammer up or down, and where was the spent?
The hammer was in the down position, the same position it's in photo E of this exhibit. And the firing pin of the hammer would be resting against the spent primer of the bullet, of the cartridge case.
The bullet that had been fired.
That's correct.
Now, you mentioned 2 different types, 2 different brands of ammunition that were inside this weapon.
Yes.
Can you expand on that for us a little bit? Why would there be 2 different kinds of ammunition, or could 2 different types of ammunition even fit in this weapon? Talk to us.
Jeff, first of all, there's at least 2 questions there.
All right, I'll withdraw it and ask it again. Could you tell us, could you expand on what ammunition was found in this weapon, please?
Smith & Wesson 38 plus P ammunition and Spear brand ammunition.
What's plus P mean?
Plus P is a designation given by a nonprofit organization that monitors the firearms and ammunition industry, and they help standardize that industry. It's an organization called the Sporting Arms and Ammunition Manufacturers Institute. And they're kind of like the Consumer Product Safety Commission of the firearms industry, and they help regulate their manufacturing process and other things, and they developed that term plus P. The letter P stands for pressure. Pressure is what makes a bullet travel down the barrel of a gun, and a plus P means that it's got extra pressure, more pressure, that makes a bullet travel down the barrel faster.
So how many of these bullets or ammunition that was in this weapon were the Smith & Wesson plus P?
There were 4 live plus P rounds and 1 spent plus P cartridge.
And that was the one that was fired?
That's correct.
And the last bullet was a Spear?
That's correct.
Different manufacturer?
Yes.
But still the right type of ammunition to fit into this weapon?
Yes.
Is that right? In an earlier answer, you mentioned that you saw blood on this weapon. And I understand you aren't criminals, but you're a seasoned homicide detective. Where, at least from the naked eye, did you see what appeared to be blood to you on this weapon?
On the frame of the weapon on the side, right where I have the laser pointed, there was blood right there. And on the butt of the weapon, the wood grip is called a butt, and there's that little silver circle, and there's actually the Colt logo. It's a metal, it looks like a button, and it's actually got a stallion or a Colt in it, which is the company logo, and there was blood in that. And imprinted on the weapon along the barrel
scratch.
where I'm pointing the laser. It's a short-barreled weapon. It's called a 2-inch barrel. And the word Cobra is actually engraved on that barrel, and I could see in the letters spelling out Cobra that there was what looked like blood in the engraving to me.
And I think we have an exhibit that might help you describe that a little better, Your Honor. This is a set of photographs, 6 of them, A through F. May it be marked as People 65, please.
So marked.
Thank you.
I haven't looked at how many
Would you
parts
now
this
look
guy
at
has.
people's,
Will he be
65
detained
for
as long as
identification? Tell us
Dr.
if you
Pena?
recognize the photographs in this exhibit and
Half of
describe
his
them for us,
existence on
please.
planet Earth.
I do recognize those photos. They were all taken in the photo studio at the Sheriff's Crime Lab. And photos A and B obviously depict the different sides of the weapon. Photo B, in that side, that device that I'm pointing to next to the cylinder is called the thumb latch or thumb release. And if you push that with your thumb, that's how the cylinder opens and you load or unload cartridges or bullets into it. Photo C is a close-up of the weapon. You can see above the grip where I'm pointing with the laser, there's a blood smear just above the grip and next to the trigger and the trigger guard. Photo D also depicts a weapon, and you can see there's weapon. You can see there's blood smears on the brown wood grip there. Photo E is a close-up of the Colt insignia. There's blood within that. And photo F is also a close-up of the barrel of the weapon that has the word Cobra 38 Special engraved in it, and there's blood within the engraving.
Thank you. There's going to be a lot more exhibits, Your Honor, but the next one would be one photograph, People's 66 for identification, please.
So marked.
Thank you. Detective, in an earlier answer, you described for us the ammunition that was in this weapon, the one that you found at the feet of Lana Clarkson with blood on it. Would you please take a look at this exhibit, People 66, and tell us if you recognize it, is this the same weapon, and what else did we see in it, in the photograph?
That is the same weapon. In the bottom of the photo are at the far left is the spent 38 plus P cartridge that was under the hammer. And then the 4 live bullets, live rounds that are next to that are the other Smith & Wesson plus Ps that were in the weapon. And then the round to the far right is the Spear brand 38 caliber bullet.
Now, as we look at this exhibit, People 66, at least I'm not sure I can tell the difference between the Spear and the Smith & Wesson plus P that are not spent. Can you tell by looking at them, or do you need some kind of microscopic examination?
The bottom of the bullet has an engraving on it, and it'll have the caliber, 38, 357, 44, whatever it is, and then it'll say the manufacturer, like in this case Spear Corporation or Smith & Wesson. There are many dozens, if not hundreds, of firearms and ammunition manufacturers in the nation, but I can tell that that's the Spear on the far right because it's just slightly different from the others. The top of the bullet, that portion there where it goes from the cartridge case to the actual projectile, the silver
Interference,
part
I'm
that you're
pretty
looking
sure it's in
at is the
in this
cartridge
video.
case, and that holds all the
Which is
powder
crazy.
and the other things that propel the projectile
we
down the barrel.
established that last
That's
time.
what strikes a target. And I could tell that the 4 Smith & Wesson plus P projectiles,
moved my phone
they
away.
have what's called a
He's
copper
still-
jacket on it. And the jacket, as you can see on the 5th cartridge there on the far right, it's just a little bit more to it. And it's different in size.
Different in size, but still working this weapon.
Absolutely.
Detective, since you're the lead detective of this crime scene, did you bring this exhibit, people's, or item number 1 from the crime scene, and I was asked it to be marked as People 67. Did you bring the actual weapon with us today?
Actually, Detective Tomlin brought it. I was with him when he brought it.
All right, fine. Do you have it with you?
I
Again,
do.
Your Honor, this has been checked by your bailiff.
Thank you.
And you're going to put on your gloves to do this, and that's why?
The weapon still has blood on it, I believe, and it's a biohazard.
So, Your Honor, we'd like to mark, the detective has a box there from the Sheriff's Department with a blue stripe, and inside of it is a manila envelope with the weapon. May that be all collectively
Yeah, just
marked
get that as close to the mic as possible.
67.
The box.
Humanly possible.
Thank you.
All right.
Pull the gun out.
And you've taken the weapon out of the box in the manila envelope. Is that the same weapon that you found at the feet of the remains of Lana Clarkson on February 3rd of 2003?
It is.
Does it still have the white material on the front of the weapon?
If it does, I can't see it.
Okay. It has been to the Sheriff's Crime Lab, correct?
You can see that the front sight here is somewhat discolored when you look down on it in that manner, but I need glasses, I'm old.
Okay. But that was the weapon that you found there?
It is.
All right, thank you. Could you return that to the manila envelope and to the box of People's 67?
Oh, wow, look, it is a different day. He's got a different shirt on. He just had to wear a tie and not show half of his upper chest. Phil Spector. Same shot.
Have you
Different
completed
angle.
that?
I have.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask to put People 61 back up on the board. Here we have it, 61A and B. In an earlier answer, I think with your laser pointer, you pointed out that there was some type of table between these two matching chairs, the one chair that you found Lana Clarkson's body in, and the other one that had some kind of briefcase with the letters PS on it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you see that in this exhibit, People 61?
It seems to be in like a weird trance.
In photo B, it would be in the center of the photo, just beyond Miss Clarkson's remains. It's kind of hard to tell in this photo, but it's between the two white chairs. It's the brown object that you're looking at that's against the wall next to her.
Well, I think we have a photograph here that may show it better. Your Honor, as People 68 for identification, we'd ask to mark this set of photographs, 3 photographs, A, B, and C. And we'll ask you to look at this, Detective. This is People 68. Would you take a moment to look at this and tell us if you recognize it, and if so, please describe what you see in each of the 3 photographs.
I do recognize those photos. Now, the photo A on the left-hand side of the exhibit is obviously a shot in the far left side of the photo. You can see Miss Clarkson's remains. In the center of the photo, you can see a 3-drawer bureau with some framed photos on top of it. And the top drawer is somewhat pulled out a couple of inches. And then in the right-hand side of photograph A, you can see the chair matching to Miss Clarkson's chair that she was seated in. And on top of the chair, as I said earlier, is a leather valise. Photo B is obviously a depiction of the standing in front of the bureau with the drawer open. You can see in the photo where I'm pointing the laser, if it worked, you can see in the photo. That's a leather Hunter brand, Hunter brand holster for a 2-inch revolver, and it's inside of the drawer. And then photo C is simply a photo of the same thing, it's just closer up. You're looking in photo C, that's the back portion of the holster that you would loop a belt through in order to carry that weapon on your belt.
And when you arrived at the crime scene, was this table with the drawer in the same position that we see it now?
It was perhaps closed just a little bit. My memory is that the drawer was
Brooklyn, good morning.
not quite that wide open.
Welcome in here.
Open enough so
good
you could
morning
see
here on
what
the
was
church.
inside?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you've described this holster for us. Did you at any
Botrick's
time
didn't
try to
come
put
to work.
item one, the weapon that you found at Lana Clarkson's feet, inside that?
At some point in time, months later at the crime lab, I was present when a criminalist did that.
And what was the result?
That holster fits a 2-inch 38 caliber revolver. It's manufactured for that purpose.
Now, did you at some point pick this up and label it as one of your items, and what item number?
I did, and I believe it's number 2.
I think we have a picture of it in a moment. Maybe we'll go to that now. We'll go to the next one. This would be People 69, Your Honor, for identification, one photograph. People 69, it says item number 2, so that was the item that you assigned to it, correct?
Yes, sir.
And is this the holster that you took out of the drawer that we saw in the previous exhibit, People 68?
Yes, sir.
Now, you said this was a Hunter brand holster, is that correct?
Yes.
Does it say that on there somewhere?
It does. On the back of the holster, it says the word Hunter Corporation and then their company logo, which is, I believe, I think it's a ram's horn.
Did you or Detective Tomlin bring that exhibit, that piece of evidence to court here today?
Yes.
Do you have it with you up there?
Christina with the share also
And
on
can we
X.
take a
Thank you so
moment
much.
and
Appreciate
allow the
that.
detective to retrieve that. I'd ask that the box and the package that it's in and its contents be marked as People's 69.
No, it'd be
Is that right?
70.
70. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
It's not a box, it's a manila envelope and its contents.
Dear Lord.
So marked.
Do you have it?
I do, sir.
And that's item 2 that you
Holster.
recovered in the drawer near Lana Clarkson, is that correct?
Yes,
In
sir.
the top
You
drawer,
had a chance
picture
to
B
look at that a
there.
little bit closer. You were trying to recall just a moment ago exactly what the logo was for this Hunter brand holster. Could you take a look at that and tell us what you see on the holster?
The logo is a ram's horn.
Why don't you replace People's 70?
The holster is currently being interviewed. What does it know? What do you know? You can't handle the truth.
During the hours that you spent at this crime scene, did you attempt to recover any other guns?
Yes, sir.
And at some point, did you recover 2 items that you called 25 and 26 from a room in the home?
Yes, sir.
And where was that room? Please describe for us how that came about.
I had tasked 2 detectives in particular, Detective Smith and Kenny, Kenney, to search the master bedroom. Off of the master bedroom was a large closet, and inside this closet was a cupboard, and inside the cupboard was a brown box, and on top of the box was a brown case that had hinges
churches
on
all
it,
over the
and
world,
almost like
baby.
a briefcase or carrying case. Inside of that brown case in the master
It'd be cool
bedroom
to know where
closet
every single person
were
was
2
watching.
handguns. One was a blue steel
All over the world.
4-inch Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum revolver, and that was loaded with 6 live Smith & Wesson plus P 38 caliber rounds. And then also inside that case was a blue steel 2-inch 38 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver that held 5 shots.
Both of the
and
Dakotas
that
in
weapon was
here.
also loaded
Nice.
with 5 live plus P rounds.
Let me ask you to look at another exhibit, Your Honor. I'd ask to be marked as People 71 for identification. Set of 4 photographs, A through D. The detective, would you please look at 71 and tell us if you recognize the
Canada.
photograph shown in this exhibit where they are and
It is
what
cool to
they
see.
are.
It's pretty
I
fucking
do
sweet.
recognize the exhibit. In photo A, it's the cupboard
What the hell's
I was just
happening?
referring to. You can see in that photo, there's a large brown box.
There we go.
On top of that box
There
is
we
a
go.
brown briefcase that's hinged in the back. Photo B is the inside of that briefcase.
Amazing.
And
What is that?
the item 26 is the 2-inch Smith &
One of
Wesson
five countries right here.
38 5-shot revolver. And then in that same photo, in photo B, item number 25 is the 4-inch Smith & Wesson 6-shot 357 Magnum revolver. And then photo C is the same closet from a different angle. You can see the fans depicted in photo C in the left-hand portion of the photo, and it's the same fan that you're looking at in photo A in the bottom of the photo. And off to the right of the photo in C is a orange zippered leather or vinyl case. And inside of that case, as you can tell from photo D, was a high standard, HISTANDARD brand 12-gauge pump shotgun.
Thank you, Detective. Let's focus on this Exhibit 71, photograph B for a moment. I see a big 25. That's item 25, and you described that as what?
Item 25 is a 4-inch blue steel 6-shot
Worldwide, baby,
Smith
we
& Wesson
global.
357 revolver. I believe it's
Ireland?
called Model 19.
Two from Ireland.
And did that come in a holster? Did you find it in a holster?
It did.
Could you describe that?
It was a black leather basket weave type holster like a policeman would wear in a uniform.
Your Honor, as People 72 for identification, I'd like to mark this single photograph. It says item 25, recovered revolver at the top. Detective, do you recognize this as the item that you recovered in the area previously described in People 71B?
Yes.
And we see it here with the holster. And you said that it was fully loaded. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what kind of ammunition?
Smith & Wesson 38 caliber plus P.
That's the same ammunition that was you found in the weapon that was at Lana Clarkson's right next to hers, correct? Except for the one spear.
That's
Is that
correct.
right? Okay. As People 73 for identification, Your Honor, I'd like to mark another exhibit. This is a photograph of item 26, another recovered revolver. All right. Detective Peoples 73 for identification. Do you recognize this?
I do.
And this was the other gun found at that location, correct?
Yes.
And the ammunition that was in it, you said it was fully loaded?
It was fully loaded with 5 live Smith & Wesson 38 plus P.
Hanging and
rounds.
banging from all over the world.
Again, the same, save the spear, the same ammunition that was in the
I'm gonna make a
weapon
worldwide
you
hanging
found
and
next to
banging
Lana
shirt.
Clarkson.
Yes, sir.
As People 74 for identification, Your Honor, another exhibit here, a recovered shotgun, item 34.
I would
So
love to
mark-
actually live in California. I think it would be best
Thank
for
you.
my allergies and asthma.
Detective, do
from
you
what I
recognize this
understand,
item?
weather-wise.
I do.
I also
And
like warm
This
weather.
was the shotgun that was recovered
Hate
in,
cold weather.
in that earlier photograph. I think that was 71 in C and D, correct?
Yes.
Was this loaded?
It was not.
Okay, it was not loaded. And with respect to items 25, 26, and 34, the two handguns that we just talked
That's
about, and the
awesome.
shotgun, did you bring those to court, or did Detective Tallman bring those to court since you did, today?
Yes.
And let's first talk about
Oh,
People's...
that's interesting.
Or, excuse me, item 25. Your Honor, I think the detectives brought that, and I'd ask that to be marked as People 75 for identification, including the envelope that it's in. May that be so marked?
All up in its contents, People 75, so marked.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Pull the gun out.
Do you recognize that weapon?
I do.
And does it have the same serial number as the one that you recovered?
I recognize it from the envelope,
What
not
would be the
from the
name?
serial
I
number.
mean, it would be cool.
All right, fine. And the envelope, let's talk a moment about that. With the envelope, how we track, how you track evidence. When something's recovered, it's identified in some way with an item number, and then do you place your initials on some envelope that it goes into?
Correct.
Tell us.
Whenever a piece of evidence is recovered at a crime scene, it's after it's photographed and measured and documented in notes and so on and so forth.
We do have a hanging
it's
and banging
essentially
shirt. I'll
physically
get
collected,
that
placed in an
link for you.
envelope, and then inside the envelope will go a label that'll have the date and time, the detective's name, and a description of what the evidence is. And all of this clearly came from labeled evidence. It has my signature and other detectives' signatures on it that I was present when they packaged it.
So with each piece of evidence or each one of the weapons that we've talked about today, that same information is placed either on the envelope or on the box that is contained in that the weapon's contained in. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, and that's so that everybody can track it.
Yes.
Some of these weapons may have gone to the crime lab, the sheriff's crime lab. That's
crazy, yeah.
For example, what happens if it goes to the sheriff's crime
I've
lab?
known Sarah
Somebody
since the
opens it
beginning,
up. Is it
basically.
tracked? Are there new names put on it?
It is. Every piece of evidence that goes to the crime lab, when it gets submitted at the crime lab, they actually assign it a unique number and a barcode. And that way they're able to, in a very sophisticated manner, able to track at any one time where a particular piece of evidence is. Like it would go from serology, where they check it for blood or hair fibers, and then it would go to another room on another floor, perhaps for fingerprints, and then from there it would go to another room on yet another floor to be test fired so that they could do a ballistics examination. So the crime lab has a sophisticated manner to track all of their evidence through the barcode system.
And all the tests and any experiments that are done with any of this evidence, those barcode tracking documents that. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to ask you to look back up here at People 73 for identification. This was item 26. The other handgun that you found in that same room, did you bring that here today, too?
I did.
So with the
more
court's
show and tell
permission,
with the
may we mark,
guns.
that envelope
Portland.
and its contents as People 76.
So marked.
Thank you. And you're now taking out of the envelope marked 76, what, Detective?
This is a 2-inch Smith & Wesson blue steel 5-shot 38 caliber revolver.
And again, that's the same weapon that you recovered in Phil Spector's house on the day that we're talking about. Is that correct?
Yes.
And again, that has the same markings and same information on the envelope as the others. So you know that that's it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. With that, could you could return it to the envelope of People 77? We're going to put up People 74. This was the shotgun that you found in that same room. And again, did you bring that, or Detective Tomlin bring that here today to court?
Yes.
And this I think it's in the box behind you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And may that box and its contents be marked as People 78, Your Honor?
78 or 77?
77, I'm sorry.
Thank
Got
you.
ahead of myself.
Pull out a shotgun here, that's all. Like, can we actually escort Phil out of the room? I don't want to take any chances. Yeah, put that right next to the mic. Right on the mic, actually. Yeah, let it touch the mic.
Just
Oh,
came
yeah,
out of
cock
the
her
box
up.
We marked as People 77 for identification. What appears to be a shotgun. Again, Your Honor, this was checked by your bailiff. I think it's got the
Security.
handcuffs on it.
Thank you.
Is that the same gun that you recovered from Phil Spector's house the morning you found Lana Clarkson there?
Yes, it is.
And I see it came in a container. We saw that container in some of the photographs, correct?
Yes.
When you first saw the shotgun in Phil Spector's house, was it inside the kind of reddish container or not?
It was.
And you took it out, and that's what we had. And you said it was not loaded,
That's correct.
unlike the others.
Valley
correct.
Fever.
Fine. Thank you. Could you replace the shotgun into the box that's been marked as People 77?
Wow. Never heard of that. Holy crap. Interesting, man. It's terrible.
Your Honor, another photograph to be marked, please, as an exhibit. This would be 78, I believe.
So marked.
Two photographs, A and B. Detective, during your search of Phil Spector's house, did you not only find these weapons, but also holsters? We talked about one, item number 2, that was found in the bureau or the desk. there next to Lana Clarkson. Did you find any others?
Yes.
The Hunter brands?
Yes.
And we talked about the black web holster that was associated, I think, with People's 25. Is that right?
For the 4-inch 357 Magnum, yes.
You ever had
Right.
Valley Fever?
But now
man?
as we look at this exhibit, People's 78.
Kathy coming through the Cash App real quick with a 420 for Pumpkin. My Cat Pumpkin on the wheel. Meowder. Oh, that's actually perfect, too. We often have Pumpkin, the cat, on the wheel thanks to Kathy, and I love it. Maybe you're going to get a win, get a little kitty, the first Meowder kitty win right here in front of the priest cat on Murder Church. Holy shit. Thank you also for a 420. Wink, wink. We know what we're doing here. We're about 5 away from another spin, guys.
Hey,
Thank you so much.
I don't know, can we enlarge that a little bit? Let's enlarge A first, okay? Thank you, Susan. We're going to enlarge
get the priest kitty in
78A here, so
for
maybe we
emoji,
can all see it a little better. Here. So at the top of this exhibit, People
Gonna replace,
78A,
Dr.
we see
Peen,
item number 2 that we've talked about, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was the Hunter brand holster with the ram's horn. What was
It's a ram's horn logo.
And we can see it closely. Now, in the same exhibit, can we go? There we go. Thank you, Sudie. We see item 50 and item 52. Let's talk about item 50. Maybe we can enlarge that. Thanks. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And did you recover that from Phil Spector's home on the day we're talking about?
I did.
Where and how and who else was there?
Upstairs in the home was primarily bedrooms and bathrooms, and one of the bedrooms upstairs had been converted into an office area. I had tasked Detectives Kerfoot, Kerfoot, and Bean, Biechen, to search the office. And in the office was a closet. The closet had been converted into a kind of a supply room storage area. And in the office, they found a large cardboard box that contained these holsters. Specifically, that one is also a Hunter brand holster for a 357 revolver is what that holster is manufactured for.
And did Detective Tomlin bring that here today with him?
Yes.
Okay. But I think we're just going to use the photographs today. Sudie, can we look at enlarge B? Thank you very much. We're going to enlarge 78B and then enlarge item 50. And you were describing this, I'm not sure we can we see that? Yeah, there it is. Thank you, Sudie. That's amazing. Okay, we're now looking at enlargement of this holster, item 50.
I think if you do a refresh on the chat, you should have the
Meowder
priest kitty in there now.
There it is. You said all these Hunter brand holsters had this identical logo on them. Is that correct?
Yes.
As we look at item 50 in this exhibit, People 78B, is that is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's the word Hunter spelled out in a configuration to resemble a ram's horn or maybe a sheep horn. I don't know the difference between those horns.
Meowder church emojis, priest kitty,
now
lurking.
let's look at item 52
Watching
here,
over everyone.
And this is in Exhibit 78, photograph B. Did you recover this holster
Seeking
from the
justice in the
defendant's home?
heels.
Yes.
And where did you recover that?
Also from the upstairs office inside of a brown box.
Again, is
Join
this...
this Discord for amazing information
Here, thank you, Sudie. We've enlarged this
on about
78B.
any and all true crime,
and can we see
court-related
the same,
content that you would ever fathom it
logo
to need.
that we saw in the other two holsters. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, these last two, 50 and 52, were found in the same location?
Morning.
Thank you.
Where's
Could I
the
just have a
pickles?
moment, Your Honor?
You may.
New emoji for members.
During your search, did you find any one of these, a shoulder holster, could be used as a shoulder holster?
Yes.
Which one?
I found a shoulder holster that could be used for a 2-inch revolver.
Where did you find that?
In the master bedroom closet, the same spot where the 2-inch .38 revolver and the 4-inch .357 revolver was found. A shoulder holster was found in that closet.
Back to 71 for identification, please. There we have it. 71, these four photographs. Does this exhibit show the location of the shoulder holster that you just referred to?
It does. It was in photo A of that exhibit. It was inside that brown box of that photo.
All right, thank you. Could you describe it any more? Was it one of these hunter holsters or a different type of holster?
It was, I believe, a Smith & Wesson brand shoulder holster. It was brown leather. It was a type of holster you see. Actually, most policemen don't wear them nowadays, but they used to in the 60s and 70s. Like in Hawaii Five-0, the lead character in that TV show used to wear a very similar looking shoulder holster.
And that was found in the same location in Phil Spector's house as the other two guns that we've talked about, the item 25 and 26 and the shotgun. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, next I'd like to put up, I think this is People's 78?
79.
Thank you. 79. And this is just one photograph. Maybe, can we enlarge that a little bit? Just a second. Well, first, Detective, with People's 79, do you recognize this photograph and the items shown in it?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, as we look at it, the top is item 1, the weapon that was found at Lana Clarkson's feet in the defendant's home, with the ammunition that you previously described. 5 Smith & Wesson P+, correct?
Plus P.
Yeah, okay, plus P, thank you. One of them spent, and then the spear, correct?
That's correct.
As we look at this exhibit, we
Dana with the $10 holler right here on the old YouTubes. Coming through, peace be with you. So many friends across the globe. Yeah, that actually blew me away when everyone was saying where they're at across the planet Earth. It's trippy as shit to me. Yeah, thank you all for being here. Miss Dina coming through with that $10 holler. Also, a winner this morning. Congratulations. Love it. And yeah, we're building the second wheel. Will we get a second spin right here on Merge Church this morning? And again, for anybody that is membered up, there is a new emoji lurking in there. The Me Outer Church emoji lurking.
see people's...
Give you one of these. Give you one of these too, huh? We ain't done with it.
I'm telling you like it is,
We here, baby. We here. Hey, what are we doing?
Hanging, banging.
That's right.
25. What ammunition was in this?
Looking at the exhibit,
Crazy morning.
it was also Smith & Wesson plus P in item number 25 in the lower left-hand corner of this exhibit.
There we go. Thank you, Susan. Again, we're looking at a little larger version of People's 79 for identification. Going to item 26, as we look at on the right-hand side, there we go, great. This shows the weapon that you recovered from Phil Spector's home and the ammunition. What ammunition was this?
Also Smith & Wesson plus P 38 caliber ammunition.
Now, during your search of the defendant's home that day, is this the only ammunition that you found?
No.
Did you find other Smith & Wesson plus P and spear ammunition?
Yes.
And where did you find that?
In the master bedroom, there was a plastic baggie that had several rounds of both plus P and spear ammunition. And then in the converted office where the shoulder holster was found and other items were found, in that closet, there was a plastic, what used to be a quart ice cream tub, and that had, I believe, 22 spear 38 caliber rounds, and then one Smith & Wesson 38 special plus P round.
I'm going to ask to mark another
Yeah, I haven't
exhibit,
seen
Your
Viv
Honor.
in church
This,
in a
I
minute,
believe, is
though.
people's ID for
But I
identification.
rang them. I had to be reminded. But
2 photographs, A and B. Do you recognize this?
I do?
And did you recover this from Phil Spector's house on the day we're talking about?
Yes,
More ammunition.
yes.
And this, it says spear. Is that what's in this box?
With one exception, yes, that's
Go ahead.
correct.
No, go ahead. Explain.
In that box is 22 .38 caliber spear rounds, and then there is one Smith & Wesson plus P round in that box.
And where's the one spear? Or the one plus P?
I believe it's in the center. If you look at photo B, it's in the center bottom of the photo. It's the long round that's kind of by itself.
You want to use your highlighter?
That one right there, I believe.
Thank you very much. Now, we've looked at... Ready? Okay. As we look at people's photograph B here and people's 80, how many rounds are in that box?
Well, the total number, I don't know. I didn't count. I know that there are, I believe there are 22 spears and one Smith & Wesson plus P. The others, I believe, are of a different manufacturer. I think the 4 along the right-hand side of the box, I think are, I believe they're Remington Peters rounds.
So the ones that we're talking about, the spears, and I initially asked you, the spear and the plus P are 20 and 21, correct?
Yes, sir.
Can we go to this one? One more exhibit, Your Honor, at least at this time. People's 81. Talking about the spear and the Smith & Wesson plus P.
4 or 5.
You've seen this document before. Maybe we can blow it up a little bit. I wanted to ask you a couple questions as Sudi does that. We've looked at 3 handguns, correct?
Yes, sir.
Item number 1 that was found at Lana Clarkson's feet, right?
Yes.
And item 25 and item 26 that were found in the closet, right?
4 away right now.
Is
from
the
another
ammunition,
one.
can you use the same ammunition in all those weapons or some of them or what? Can you explain that?
Yes.
Leslie in the hills.
38 caliber ammunition will fit into any ammunition manufactured by any company that makes 38 caliber ammunition will fit into any 38 caliber weapon. It doesn't matter if it's made by Speer or Smith & Wesson or Winchester Western or Remington Peters or any other company. They all fit. A 357
There we go.
Magnum
Kelly putting her name in there one more time. With some vibes, $2.99 or $1.99 coming through here with a $2 holler. Thank you so much, Kelly. Kelly, appreciate it. Putting you right here. Good luck. I have good vibes about this. I think that you could win this.
Revolver shoots
Don't give
both
up.
357 Magnum ammunition and 38 caliber ammunition. The same is not true of a 38 caliber revolver. It only shoots 38 ammunition.
So to that degree, it's interchangeable, correct?
Yes.
As I mentioned just a moment ago, this exhibit, People's 81 for identification, you've seen it before, correct?
Yes.
Actually, we talked about it.
We did.
And what does this show? Does this show the Speer and Smith & Wesson plus P ammunition that you recovered from the defendant's house on the day that you found Lana Clarkson's body there?
Yes.
And it's lined up in different, we may need your laser pointer on this, in different lines, and there's a yellow line down the middle. Can you explain that to us?
The yellow line obviously delineates the Speer manufactured ammunition on the left of the yellow line in the exhibit from the ammunition that's Smith & Wesson plus P that's on the right side of the yellow line.
And does this exhibit, People's 81, demonstrate all of the Speer and Smith & Wesson plus P ammunition that you found at the defendant's home on the day we're talking about? Okay, well, let's, and if we could see it a little better, actually, and tell us where, because each line's listed with an item number, correct?
Yes, but I can't see that from here, but yes.
But I think I might be able to help you because I'm going to loan you my
I have the exhibit in mind.
Oh, you do? Why don't you pull that out, and that'll help us discuss this a little bit. Well, I put on my glasses so I can see it. Can you see it a little better now, too?
I can.
Okay. Well, I've asked Sudi to zoom in on the top of this exhibit, People's 81, and I think it'll help, at least try to help us explain exactly what we have
Oh, man.
here.
I hate
We
to hear
see on
that.
the spear
Tornado.
side, item 55.
Glad no one was injured. Tornadoes
and
freak me
a
out.
couple bullets on the Smith & Wesson side. What was
Otherwise,
item
I had a good
55?
weekend. I went traveling around yesterday into the mountains of West Virginia. And for anybody that didn't hear earlier, if you are a member and or a Patreon peep, you're going to be getting some really cool content soon of, me going into this old building it's about 100 years old, opened in 1928, so a little less than 100, but it basically looks like a freaking castle, but it was like the company store for the coal miners way back in the day, where this is the only place they could shop when they were paid in script. Their money was only good at this location. Went and explored this large-ass place that's been shut down for a really long time. It's an abandoned building. It's crazy looking. And then we went to this insane restaurant also. And, had a great weekend, Leslie.
Item 55 was the ice cream tub that I described earlier that was in the brown box that was in the office upstairs. And from inside that ice cream tub were 11 spear rounds and 2 Smith & Wesson plus P rounds.
And those were all contained in that one little bucket that in the area where you found it. Is that
That's correct.
Okay. Now, as we go the next line down is listed as item 30 there. What was that? Where did you recover these?
Item 30 is 1 Spear 38 round and then 2 Smith & Wesson plus P rounds. When I recovered them, they were unfired and they were live. Since that time, they've been test fired by the lab, and then this exhibit had been put together. But
me exploring abandoned building,
were complete bullets, not just the cartridges. And that item 30, which is at the bottom of the exhibit here now, was taken from the master bedroom closet. Inside that closet, inside the brown box, was another small box. It was a box of ammunition called PMC. Is a manufacturer, stands for Pan Metal Corporation, I believe, in Korea. And inside of that PMC small ammo box were those rounds in particular.
In that last answer, in referring to item 30 here in People's 81, you said that the Smith & Wesson plus P, when you recovered them, those two cartridges were full live bullets. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that they were used at the Sheriff's Crime Lab in some manner? What was that?
The criminalist in conduct...
Unless he witnessed this, hearsay.
Did you witness it?
I witnessed a portion of it.
The portion that Mr. Dixon is asking you about?
Yes, sir.
All right, the objection's overruled.
Please continue.
The criminalist that was assigned to this case, Jim Carroll, test fired those cartridges.
That leads me to my next question. One line up on the right-hand
so we're 3
side
away
of the
right
yellow
now.
line
3
is
away.
Smith & Wesson plus P's.
We
We see
left here.
2
We
cartridges there.
Still got about 13 minutes left of this testimony, and I'm sure, honestly, there will be a part 2. We're still early here in Murder Church, about 11:30. I'm going to run upstairs, use the bathroom, and we'll see what happens here. Right back, guys.
Were those live bullets? when you
Insane
found them?
morning.
They
Everybody
were.
coming through. Thank you so much. If you
And
have not hit
what
that
happened
like,
to them?
do so.
Again,
Helps us
the
out.
criminalist test fired those.
Now, Sudi, if we could go
go, baby.
We're going to look at the bottom half of this exhibit, People's 81, and talk about the same thing. We'll try that. Ooh. Well, maybe. Okay, let's talk about these. The next 3 lines of ammunition down. Again, on the left side, as we look at the exhibit, People's 81, on the left side of the yellow line is the spear ammunition, and the right side is, it's okay. The right side is the Smith & Wesson plus P. The top line, it says item 29. Where was that recovered from?
Item 29 was recovered from the master bedroom closet from within the box.
And those are Smith & Wesson plus P?
That's correct.
As we look at them now, they appear to be expended.
Yes,
Were they when you recovered them?
they were not.
Okay. Same thing at the crime lab?
That's correct.
Okay. Next line down, which we talked about, is item number 1. That was in the weapon that you found at Lana Clarkson's feet in the defendant's home there, in the weapon covered with blood. Now, item number 1 was the gun, but it's also the bullets, the ammunition?
Yes, sir.
Is that the way the sheriff's office works?
For the most part, yes.
All right, fine. And again, as you've explained, we see 1 spear for Smith & Wesson plus P, and then 1 Smith & Wesson plus P expended, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. Now we'll go to the last 3 lines. Maybe we can do that. Can you see that, Detective?
I can.
Great. On the left side of this exhibit, again, People's 81 for identification, the left side of the yellow line. Top line, as we look at this highlighted version, is item 54, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you recover these bullets?
I did.
Where?
Those are the bullets that came out of that yellow plastic Spear brand ammunition box. And those are there's 22, I believe, Spear brand 38 caliber rounds. And then the bottom right to that round where the laser's pointing is a Smith & Wesson plus P round that was also in that plastic Spear brand box.
So in that container that we looked at earlier in an exhibit, these bullets were in it. As we look at the left side of the exhibit, People's 81, these 3 lines of ammunition on the left side were all Spear, and they were all contained in that container, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then that one additional one that we're looking at now on the right side of the yellow line, the Smith & Wesson plus P, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll look at the right side of this exhibit. 81 is now highlighted. Item 26 and item 25. First 26, these bullets came from where?
Those came from the 5-shot, 2-inch blue steel Smith & Wesson 38 revolver that was found inside the brown case in the upstairs master bedroom. And then below that, the 6 live Smith & Wesson plus P 38 rounds were recovered from the 4-inch blue steel Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum revolver that was inside that same brown case.
And we go back to the full. And as we look at the last time here at People's 81, all this ammunition you recovered from Phil Spector's house on the day that you were there, the day that you found Lana Clarkson's body. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's either, as we look at it, Spear or Smith & Wesson plus P, correct?
Yes.
And as you told us, they're somewhat interchangeable among these handguns that we saw.
Yes.
Could I have a moment, please, Your Honor?
You may.
Do you remember the totals for this? How many Spear and how many plus P altogether?
I do.
And that is?
35 Spears and 29 Smith & Wesson plus Ps.
No.
Chicken biscuits in the air fryer, baby.
That was the moment we're going to go back to the exhibit
Yes.
here.
There we go. Leslie getting in here. $10, baby.
Asking me to take one more look at People 61 for identification.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Good luck. You have an opportunity to win a shirt. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
In an earlier answer, you told us that on the chair that appeared to look very similar to the one that you found Lana Clarkson's remains in, there was a black bag that had PS on it. Is that right?
Oh, Wildside coming through the Cash App with a $4.20. Perfect number to donate there. Please put Tracy K on the wheel. Done right now. Thank you so much, Wildside. Appreciate that. Let's go, baby.
See that in this exhibit, People's 61.
It's depicted in photo B in just about the center of the photo and the background of the photo. You see the white chair and the valise is on top of the seat cushion.
One away, maybe?
This can be tab 43. Your Honor, we have another exhibit, a photograph.
One away.
Three
One
photographs,
away.
A, B, and C. I'd like to mark as People's 83.
One
Is
more
that
will
right?
this morning. Another shirt giveaway.
Oh, that's not quite the right one. Just a second, please.
Sure.
Well, we can mark
heard
it
of magic
because we're
pants.
going to get there. But that's not the one I had marked. And actually, Your Honor, I probably should ask to approach before I ask the next
All right.
question.
You may approach.
You be careful approaching Judge Dowhart
Well,
now.
Your Honor,
He'll whoop your ass.
thank goodness I have Sudi here because she told me that
The
I've
hell of it.
already marked this as People's 68. So
Okay.
Where we at?
So you want to take away 82?
6
yeah,
minutes.
we'll save 82 for the
Okay.
next one. Thank you. So this is 68, and thank you, Sudi. Detective, we now have People's 68 backup on here on the board. A, B, and C, and I'd like you to focus your attention this time to photograph A, the briefcase that you described earlier. You said it was initial, had a PS on it, is that correct?
Yes,
And did you search it at some point?
I did.
And did you find a DVD player in it?
Actually, underneath it, it's sitting on top
My
of
favorite
a
judge
DVD
for
player.
real.
And the DVD
Spent a lot
player,
of
did it
time
have
with
some
it.
movie in it? Do you
Probably
recall?
biased.
It had a movie, an old black and white film from the 40s called Kiss Tomorrow, Goodbye.
And then did you also search the
look that up
bag
and
and
probably watch
find
it.
some
Kiss
package of medication?
Yes.
And what did you find?
There were a couple different medications in there. There was
I love finding old random
Zantac,
movies.
5 Zantac pills, I believe. There was Mylanta. There was a Rite 8 brand Stay Awake pills, they're called. And then there was a
Fine film.
tinfoil pack with one single Viagra pill and then a spot for 2 pills that were missing.
So a 3-pack, 1 still in it and 2 missing.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct? Okay. Now, during the 30 hours that you were there, I'm sure you searched other portions of the house. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to put up an exhibit, and now we'll use People's 82, please, Your Honor.
All right.
This is 5 photographs, A through E, and I'm going to ask Sudi if we can highlight some of these. First, photograph A. Thank you.
Check my chicken biscuits. 4 minutes. One name till a spin.
Well, maybe you can, while Sudi's working on that, can we, thank you, Sudi. Can you see A there? Can you tell what it is? I'm not sure.
I can.
What is it?
Photo A depicts the living room of the home. It's just off the foyer where Miss Clarkson was seated. And those are on either side of the photo. You can see there are wood and glass doors that are pocket doors that go into the wall. And in the center of the photo, there's a coffee table on a rug and a couch on either side of it. And along the left-hand side of the photo is a chair and some other furnishings. And those are windows and doors that face out onto the front yard of the home.
I'm going to put up an earlier diagram that we've had, people 60 for identification, and ask you a couple of questions and try to orient us as to where that room was that you just described in 82 in relationship to where you found Lana Clarkson's remains. Here we see this earlier diagram. I'm using your
I got up
laser
there to the
pointer.
chicken biscuits. I'm trying to, so I'm sure anybody that's ever made the ones that you can get from the freezer section knows that if you ever made them in an air fryer also, the biscuits will get done way before the chicken. So I was trying to get up there and, get those out before and let the chicken go a little bit longer. I went up there at the exact moment it dinged. I was touching it as soon as bing. Couldn't have planned
Can
it
you
better.
tell us where that room was that you just described in 82 in relationship
There it is,
to
baby.
what we see in this diagram?
Jersey Gin seeking justice
The
on the
room
will.
on
There we
living room
go.
is just the other side of this hallway. It's
Hell
not
yeah.
depicted on a diagram.
We got a will.
To be depicted.
We got a
It would be,
will.
where the pointer's at, which is just at the top portion of the diagram.
Thank you,
and
Jersey
it's
Jim. Appreciate
the
it.
other side of this hallway.
Let's
So just
go.
a few steps away, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead and start working on that.
Now we're going to ask to go back to 82. Here we are.
Whisper, whisper, whisper.
So we're looking at 82 again, and in photograph A is the, I guess, living room, is that what you called it?
Yes, sir.
And as you went in there and began your search for evidence, what did you find? And using the other 4 photographs, B, C, D, and E, can you describe it for us?
I can, but the one thing that on the coffee table in the center of the room was an empty Jose Cuervo 1-liter tequila bottle. And that's depicted in the center of the exhibit right there.
Thanks. Yeah, that was perfect. So that's shown in Exhibit 82 in photograph B, correct?
Yes, sir.
What else did you find on that coffee table?
As you can see on the exhibit, to the right of it in the exhibit, in almost the center of the screen, is a bottle of Canada Dry ginger ale with the cap off. And that bottle was about a quarter full of ginger ale.
And we also see a brandy sniffer, is that correct?
Yes.
And it appears as we see it here in this photograph in People's 82 that it has liquid in it.
It did have some type of alcohol in it. I think it might have been brandy or tequila, some kind of alcohol.
But you sniffed it and it seemed like it had alcohol sometime.
I did sniff it.
Okay, all right. And
On that note, we've reached the noon hour.
All right, thank you.
Keep in mind the admonition, ladies and gentlemen, will resume at 1:30 this afternoon. Thank you.
Almost got it. Boom. Got a will ready to rock, and starting back, part 2, kicking back off with this detective, and we got an hour we can should be able to get through. But first, we have a will in play, ladies and gentlemen, ready to go. Thank you, everyone, for the kindness this morning. Everyone's been absolutely amazing. Miss Dina won her first shirt this morning, and let's see who wins this one. Good luck, everyone. Let's go. Here we go. That's a good speed, baby. Oh, shit. Leslie. Yeah, Leslie coming through. There we go. Congratulations. Kelly, I am sorry. Once again, did not pick up a victory. Wow. Leslie Simons. I think that's her first one, actually. Congratulations. Get with me, publiclybuzzed@gmail.com, or if you are on X on Twitter, you can send me a private message. I'll get with you on there, but I'm going to put you in the winner circle right now, Leslie. Congratulations. Hell yes. Get it in here so I do not forget. Boom. That's what I'm talking about. There she is. Congratulations. Let's go. We're not messing around, bro.
Well, let me tell you
What
something,
am I telling you
brother.
about?
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yep.
Give me the loot. I'm telling you like
Getting them all for you right now. Getting wild with it.
Son of a bitch!
Yeah.
Hold up.
Huh?
Hold up. Hold up.
Huh?
Respect
But what are we doing, though?
Just chilling.
Just chilling. Leslie, congratulations. Seriously, that's awesome. Publiclybuzzed@gmail.com. And you can pick yourself out a shirt right here. Right here. Actually, I don't know if you can see it better here. Any kind of t-shirt, the hoodies and the sweaters and everything else is off limits, but any t-shirt that you want, let me know. This one has a front side where you can, it's a drink the Kool-Aid, Murder Church exclusive. We have some classics on there, of course, the Dandy Savage shirt, the Lightning Bolt shirt, the hottest shirt in true crime that is in my regular rotation, the Unsolved Mysteries play. But some of the classics, Partner in Crime is out there in the wild before, Murder Church Before Adulting. There's a lot of shirts. It even goes deeper than this. If you click on t-shirts over here on the side, it even goes deeper than that. And here's some of the classics. Feral Friday right here. Mistina just picked that one up on Friday. Some of the classic designs here. Here is an underrated shirt. I feel like the Buzzed and Confused shirt that is absolutely available for pickup. But Leslie, congratulations. And we're going to keep rolling here another hour at least with Detective Mark Lillenfield, Part 2. And everyone, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it. We're growing this thing every freaking week. Amazing. Amazing.
Getting a little bit of a late start. You may proceed.
It is a different day already. I got to give you one of these, though, before we really get going. Got to do it. Got to do it.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. That's the judge. That's how he starts out. I don't know if you knew that or not. Every morning, Judge Diehard comes in. That's how he starts out the session.
Detective, before we went to lunch, I think we were talking about this. It's
Love
people's
it.
82
Snivels,
for
what's up?
identification.
Come in here.
You told us that you were
Love
in
it,
the,
Leslie.
for one better term,
Congratulations.
the living room of the defendant's home. You found a tequila bottle and a brandy sniffer that had alcohol in it, some kind of alcoholic beverage. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's shown in this exhibit, People's 82 and the brandy
Same one.
sniffer in photograph C, correct?
Yes,
At some point, did you find a second brandy snifter?
I did.
And where was that?
It was on a sink counter in a bathroom that was just off the foyer.
And Your Honor, I'd like to... No,
I'm going to check on my chicken biscuits. I'll be right back.
another exhibit here, Your Honor. It's People's 83. It's a set of photographs, 5 photographs, A through E, and it'll be up here in just a moment.
Thank you.
Here we have it, People's 83 for identification. Detective, would you look at these 5 photographs, tell us if you recognize them, and then tell us what each one shows?
I do recognize them. Photo A is a photograph taken from the foyer looking south. There's a stairwell on the left side of the photo. It's dark and it's kind of hard to see. And then to the right of that is an open doorway that leads to an alcove. To the left is, I believe, a closet. And then to the right of that open alcove is an open bathroom door. And then photo B better depicts that bathroom door. You can see the wall in that bathroom you're looking at where the toilet paper holder is. That's the south wall. And then the toilet is in the corner of that photo B. It's a kind of a maroon colored porcelain toilet.
Let me interrupt you there and ask you, this bathroom that you just described that's in People's 83 for identification, the doorway to A and B, where is that in relationship to the living room that we just looked at in People's 82?
It is on the other side of the foyer from the living room, and it's probably about, from those sliding doors to enter the living room, it's probably about 8 or 10 steps.
Okay. So it would make sense that someone might be in the living room and then use this bathroom. That's would make sense, kind of.
Yes.
Was the closest bathroom to that living room, or do you recall?
Actually, I believe off of the living room, there was another powder room that appeared to be unused.
So it's one of 2 powder rooms or bathrooms that were in close proximity to the living room we looked at a moment ago.
Yes.
Okay. If you could continue with People's 83 and describing what we see here in the photographs, C, D, and E, please.
In photo C, that's a better interior photograph of the inside of the bathroom. In the upper right-hand corner of the restroom is a toilet. On top of the toilet tank, there's a evidence number marker, and that's indicating a pair of false eyelashes that were placed on top of the tank. And then on the sink countertop, you can see the numeral 12 in photo C. It's in the lower right-hand corner, and that is to indicate another brandy snifter glass that looked like the mate to the one that was in the living room on the coffee table. And that glass had just a few drops of some kind of alcohol in it. And on the floor, in front of the toilet, in photograph C, you can see the evidence marker number 14, I believe. And
Shit.
that's right next to
Snivels coming through and becoming a member here. That's what I like to see. Snivels, buzzed and confused level. Thank you very much. Welcome the hell in here.
Welcome to the party, pal.
That's what I'm talking about.
This is gun country.
Woo! Beers in the chat. Probably nothing in the chat. We got some liquor drinks in there, maybe. Some hell yeahs at least. But welcome in here, Snivels. Appreciate that. See Snivels a lot in Hella's streams, Dally streams. Hell yeah, get in here. Love to see it. I got my chicken biscuits here, ready to rock and roll. We got about another hour or so left of Murder Church. Keep rolling.
the marker is a white.
Man, that gets you on the wheel, Snivels.
It was wet.
For a possible t-shirt.
Actually a baby's diaper. Like from the 50s and 60s, a Curity brand.
Oh, yeah, new wheel starting right now.
Bloody. It had smeared blood on it.
Snivels, this probably won't be spun until
that's a close-up of
Tuesday.
the on the toilet tanks.
So make sure you come back
and
now.
And then photo E is a close-up photograph of the Curity brand diaper.
So looking at photograph C in 83, we see all three of the items that were marked as evidence, items 12, 13, and 14, in this one bathroom not far from the living room. Is that correct?
Oh, hell yeah.
And we see their relationship from one to the other, correct?
Yes.
And then we see here in photograph D some eyelashes, those were marked 13, and then 14, the baby diaper. This is a cotton baby diaper?
Yes.
Like pre-disposable baby diaper?
Yes.
And could you describe it a little bit more? We see red on it. Could you describe that for us more?
The red that
cotton
you
baby
see
diapers sound like a nightmare.
That photo that was there.
It will be back.
Was blood. And like I said, it was wet to the touch. That's a better close-up of it. It's a typical child's diaper. I mean, it's square, and it was about 14 inches by 14 inches. It was found in that position, and it was pretty covered in a pretty good amount of blood, as you can see from the exhibit.
And you've been testifying now with respect to People's 83 photograph E, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, one more exhibit to mark. This would be People's 84 for identification. Two photographs, A and B. We now have it on the board. May that be so marked?
Yes.
Thank you. Detective, looking at this exhibit 84 for identification, two photographs. Please describe them and tell us what we're looking at.
Photo A shows the sink countertop of that same bathroom. In the upper right-hand corner of the photo, you can see the red squares highlighting the brandy glass that matched the brandy glass from the coffee table in the living room. And photo B is just a close-up of that same brandy snifter glass.
And you recovered the brandy snifter glass. That was what, exhibit 12? Item 12?
Yes.
Okay. Could I have just a moment, please, Your Honor? Yes. Thank you. Your Honor, another exhibit, please. Three photographs is People's 85 for identification.
All right.
Detective, during your investigation, your search for evidence at the defendant's house on the day we were talking about, did there come a time when you or someone else working with you pointed out something unusual?
So many chicken biscuits are good right now. I'll starve it.
Yes.
And we now have People's 85 up here on the exhibit board or the screen, three photographs, A, B, and C. Does this show at least part of what your attention was drawn to?
Yes.
Could you describe it for us, please?
Photo A is a photograph of the back.
I was on the wrong thing there.
The man in the photograph is a criminalist from our crime lab named Steve Renteria, Renteria. And Steve's bending down in that photograph and kind of pointing to and holding the numeral 20 up. There was blood smears on the handset, the knob that operated one of the locking devices on the door. The blood smear was on the knob itself, and the criminalist was standing there to show its relationship to the door. And photo B, of course, and C also was a close-up of the blood smears on the knob.
And that was, the knob was marked as item 20, is that correct?
Yes. Actually, the item 20 would be the blood samples that were taken from the knob.
All right, fine. And as you looked, well, let me withdraw that and ask you this. We look at photograph A and this exhibit, People's 85. Where is it in relationship to where you found the remains of Lonnie Clarkson?
In photo A, you can see the chair to the left side of the photo, and out of the line of sight of that photo would be the 3-drawer. Right there would be the 3-drawer bureau that had the holster, and then just to the left of that bureau would be the chair that the victim's remains were in.
So this door was just how far from where you found Lonnie Clarkson's remains?
About 8 or 10 feet.
Closer than we are now?
Yes,
Would this be about it?
about that distance.
That's about 8 feet. Thank you, Your Honor. So as Lana Clarkson was, as you found her in the chair that appeared to be very similar to the one we see in 85A, she was just 8 feet or so from this door.
Yes,
The door that we see, the back door,
that's correct.
where you found, when you first arrived, at least you understood, the black Mercedes was there outside at some point.
I was told that the Mercedes, in fact, was down the driveway by the gate when I arrived.
But you understood at some point that it was outside the door.
Yes.
As you looked at this door that we're seeing in People's 85 for identification, did you see in your investigation something else that appeared to be unusual about it, wrong?
I did.
What was that?
There's a deadbolt lock above the handset lock. You can see in that exhibit, in that photo where the numeral 20 is, that's the handset lock that operates the latch that opens and closes the door. And in this exhibit, you can see that above that is
Those hit the freaking
it's called a
spot.
deadbolt lock. It's
Hell yeah.
it's a metal bolt, and it goes from the door into a pre-drilled hole in the frame of the door. Everybody in America has them. It's an extra added level of security. On that deadbolt lock is a lever. It's like a 2-inch brass lever. It's actually called a thumb lever because you use your thumb to open or lock or unlock the deadbolt. And in this case, at this time, the lever was missing. It was actually down on the floor, back against where the door would meet the stairway where the back door opened. And in its place was there's a spindle that kind of sticks out from the mechanism, and that's what the lever attaches to the spindle, and when you turn it.
Building up another will already. Real quick, Venmo. Kelly Bo Belly coming through. She puts, this will can just run me over. 420 Venmo. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Kelly. I'm getting you right here. You hear my phone going off right now, don't you? Thank you. And then that's not even it, folks. Lakota, Absolute G coming through here through the Cash App. Pastor Steve's Choice. Whoa, Cash App Lakota coming through with $5. And does that mean for me to pick somebody to put on the will? Whoa, that's a lot of pressure. Lakota, you in the chat? Thank you so much.
The spindle throws the bolt into the door to secure it, or you turn the lever the other way and the spindle unlatches so that you can open the door. Well, that lever was off the spindle and just laying on the floor.
Damn, yeah, 5 hours is a rough one.
Just make the record
safe
clear.
today.
While you were answering that question, you were also looking at the screen here, and we had two different photographs, photograph A and photograph B from People's 85 on the screen. Is that correct? Now we have photograph A.
Yes.
Is that right? Your Honor, one more exhibit to mark a photograph, single photograph is People's 86, showing item number 4. Detective, looking at People's 86, do you recognize that?
I do.
And what is that? Were you talking about this item in your last answer?
Yes, that is it's a brass lever. It's the brass thumb lever from the deadbolt lock set.
Let's put Charlotte on the will.
And that
Charlotte's
was
on the
marked
will.
As far as your
That's who got it.
investigation item number 4.
Lakota, is that what you meant?
Yes.
To put whoever I want on the will with that $5 Cash App? Thank you so much also, Lakota coming through here.
Can I have a moment? Yes. Your Honor, we're going to use the Alamo to put up one more exhibit here. Is People's 87 for identification. This is a diagram. I think it's just a moment. If you don't have it, we'll try to come back to that, though. All right? Okay. We're now going to, we'll go to the telephone. during your investigation of this crime scene,
So generous of Lakota. Again, we have the nicest folks in this community. You never know who is going to gift out something or do something generous like this. But yeah, Charlotte is getting on that son of a bitch.
87 were put up
And that'll probably be a Tuesday spin on a match. But it's already building up, so
A through L.
we've already got 3 names on a new will.
People's 87.
Amazing morning,
Which one
quite
do you want
frankly.
to be
Working on the 3rd
87?
will.
Yeah, I'll
Are you kidding
withdraw
me?
the other ones since we
I
couldn't
think a
find
record
it.
for us is 4 wills in
87,
one
look
show.
for it. All right, and this will be
insane.
87. Thank you, Your Honor. You're welcome. During your investigation...
Oh, whoa,
in this
yeah.
house-
Happy birthday, Ruth. Thank you so much for hanging out. Hanging and banging with us here this morning, right?
Hanging and banging.
Happy birthday, Ruth. Love it.
your effort to look for evidence, did you notice that there were any telephones in Phil Spector's house?
Yes.
Just 1 or 2 or lots?
Over a dozen.
I'm going to do a probably nothing right now for you,
We
Ruth.
have People's 87 here that try to
is
assist
for
you in
you.
documenting this. Have you had a chance to look at this exhibit before today?
I have.
And you're familiar with each of the photographs A through L, is that correct?
Have a good day.
And each one of those photographs, A through L, is a photograph of some portion of the inside of Phil Spector's house on the day that you were there, February 2nd, and then, February 3rd, and then into February 4th of 2003. Is that right?
Yes.
And we're going to try to blow these up, but starting with photograph A, if you could take us through this and tell us where in the house this was, this photograph shows on the day we're talking about, and
That's right.
if there's a telephone in it. There we go. This would be 87A, Your Honor.
That photograph depicts the victim's remains, of course, in the lower right-hand corner. And in the top left of the photo is a kind of a hat rack table. And on top of that was an old-fashioned telephone.
Now, how far away, we just saw in the larger portion of 87A, Lana Carson's remains in the chair that we talked about. Approximately how far, because it's hard to tell sometimes with a photograph, how far away from her remains is this telephone?
It's about 5 feet.
So closer than I was before. May I approach Your Honor? Please tell me.
About right there.
So a little more than really an arm's length. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, going to photograph. By the way, did you pick it up? Did you get a dial tone?
On that phone, yeah, I believe I did.
Uh-oh.
Because
Sharing
it looked like
birthdays
the
out
old
here.
kind of phones you'd see like in an Elliott Ness serial, and it actually is, I think it's a replica of an old-fashioned phone.
So first, when you saw it, you maybe had a doubt whether it was just decoration or
Right.
work.
That's correct.
And you picked it up, dial tone.
Yes.
So now we're looking at 87B for identification. And again, we've seen this photograph before. Now we're looking
Kaylin
at
coming through this morning.
the
Good morning,
briefcase
Kaylin.
that
What's
I believe
up?
you told us had the
you
initial
get your shirt yet,
TS on
Kaylin?
the outside, right?
Yes.
And underneath we found the DVD player, and then inside some medication that you referred to earlier,
Yes.
correct? Did you search this in addition to just finding the medication?
Yes.
And what did you find inside with respect to any cell phones?
There were 2 cell phones in there, a Nextel cellular telephone and I believe a Sprint cellular telephone.
Did they both appear to be in working order?
Yes.
It should be soon. It should be
Was
pretty
there
soon.
anything
I'd
else
imagine.
in the briefcase that would indicate ownership of the briefcase?
see.
Yes.
What was that?
Mr. Spector's
Shows him
passport,
shit.
2 California driver's licenses, a bunch of credit cards, his wallet, some bank information. All of his personal information was inside of it.
So inside the briefcase that you told us about, not only the ID that you just mentioned, but 2 cell phones, 2 different companies, is that right?
Yes.
And they were in working order.
Yes.
And how far from the chair where Lana Clarkson's remains were, is that? And again, we're looking at a photograph. It may be difficult to tell, but could you tell me to stand approximately the distance between the one chair and the other chair that we see in 87B?
About 5 feet, the same as the distance, about there.
Indicating about 5 feet, Your Honor?
That's 5 or 6 feet, yes.
So, within 5 feet, one way or the other, of Lana Clarkson, there were on one side
That you're
a
tracking
telephone,
right
a
now?
landline,
Oh, it
correct?
shows it's
Yes.
delivered.
And then the other
It's
side,
delivered
inside,
August 16th.
a briefcase that had
In
PS on it.
slash at a
and
mailbox.
his driver's license, 2 other cell phones.
Yes.
Did you have a cell phone that day?
Kalen, I believe it's,
Yes.
maybe if you
Did
go,
you
I
use
don't
it
know
while
if
you
you
were
have
that
a
30
P.O.
hours? You
box
must
or
have
wherever
used
it's
it
at, but
somewhere.
hopefully it's in your box.
I did.
And did you get reception there?
Yes.
Excuse me, I'm going to object unless we're talking about the same carrier, it's irrelevant.
I think that's something to point out and cross. The objection's overruled.
So
Better.
you were able to make phone calls from Phil Spector's house on your cell phone?
Yes.
All right. If we could, Sudie, please go to 87C. Thank you. As we look at this, Detective, 87C, what are we looking at?
That's a seat with a table attached to it, and there's a phone on top of it. That photograph is taken inside the living room of the home, the same room that had the fireplace, the coffee table with the tequila bottle and the brandy snifter and the ginger ale. It's that same room, along as you're looking at the room that's on the right-hand side, which is the south wall.
And this was, it's a little grainy, this was a landline telephone
Yes.
in working order, apparently?
Yes.
And this was, as you mentioned, just in the next room from where you found Lana Clarkson.
Yes.
If we could go to 87D, please, Sudie? Thank you. As we look at this photograph, people's 87D for identification, where in the house is this photograph?
That's a kitchen on the main floor of the home. It's across the hallway from the foyer and on the other side of a dining room. And there's a counter in the kitchen. You can tell from the
Just hit
photograph.
60 likes.
with
Hell yeah.
Kind of blue-gray cabinets.
Appreciate that,
And
guys.
on top of the counter is another landline telephone.
And do you have your pointer that
I
you
do.
can click for?
The phone I'm referring to in the exhibit is where I'm pointing the laser.
Oh, man. Judge Dowhard with Boone would be amazing, Shelley.
Was this an old antique one or it looked like a pretty modern phone?
It was a modern phone. I think it had several lines on it.
Oh, more than one line?
Yes.
Landline coming into Phil Spector's house?
Yes.
And appeared to work?
Yes.
Thank you. Now going on to 87E, please. Detective, could you tell us where in the house this photograph was taken?
That is taken upstairs on the second level. As soon as you reach the second level of the home, there's kind of a landing area there, and there's a little mini bar, and that is the bar that's there. And the telephone was on top of the bar. The TV monitor next to it is actually, it's truly a monitor that I testified to earlier about the camera in the driveway overlooking the gate. That's what that TV monitor is. It's not a regular network type TV you could watch shows on.
This doesn't look like the normal phone. It looks like it has a lot of buttons on it. What's
It
this?
looked like a commercial phone line like you'd find in an office. It had several lines coming in, more than one number.
And again, in working order?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Going to 87F, please. Where in the house is this photograph taken?
That is an upstairs kitchen on the second story of the home, and there's a phone in the photograph also.
Could you indicate that to us, please?
It's kind of hard to see. I believe it is on this tabletop here.
Again, a landline
Yes.
in working order.
Yes.
Going to 87G, please. Thank you, Sudie. Where in the house was this photograph taken?
That is one of a number of upstairs guest bedrooms. I believe that one's on the west portion of the home. And there's a telephone in that guest bedroom where on the left-hand side of the photo inside of this, I believe that was a closet there. There was a nightstand with a phone on top of it.
So we're seeing some type of, appears to be white, perhaps plastic item on top of that brown table. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Again, a landline
Yes.
in working order.
Yes.
Thank you. Now to 87H, please, Sudie. Thank you. Detective, where in the home was this photograph taken?
That is a bedroom that was converted into kind of a closet dressing room. And there was a telephone on top of an entertainment center I believe right here.
And could you point that out again? So as we look at the photograph, this 87H, it's in the far right-hand side of the photograph, about a third of the way up or more, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Landline,
Yes.
in working order.
Yes, sir.
Now to 87I, please.
Oh, look at
Where
this
in
creepy
the-
bastard.
In the home
Maybe
was
I'll wear
this
a tie
photograph
today.
taken?
Again, I believe that's one of the spare guest bedrooms on the west side of the
I
home.
got a mirror up
And there's
here.
you can tell there's obviously a bed in the middle of the photo, and in the lower right-hand corner of the photo, there's a nightstand with a lamp and a telephone with multiple lines on it.
Obviously a landline in working order?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, 87J, please. Again, where is this in the home?
This too is one of the, I believe this one of several spare guest bedrooms. And in the middle of the photograph, there's a table against a wall with a mirror over it. And there's a
Guys, a
multiple
gazillion
landline
dollars every room
working
looks like
telephone on top
every
of the table
grandma's guest
that I'm
room
pointing the laser to.
ever.
Right, almost in the center of the photograph, just off to the left, correct?
Yes.
And again,
We got a
obviously
full
landline
wheel,
in
not a
working
full
order.
wheel, but a
Yes, sir.
fairly full wheel still open.
Next to last photograph we're going to
let's
talk
see.
to in this exhibit,
Yeah, we are-
87K, please.
The next one in line
That's
will be
an
number 4
upstairs bedroom on the
this
east
wheel.
side of the home, and it was converted into an
early
office.
on wheel 3
This
for the
room
day.
was right next to the master bedroom. And this room I had described earlier, it's where some of the ammunition had been found in a closet that's used as a kind of a supply storage area of this room. There were 2 phones in this room. One of them's in the photograph here. It's on the left-hand side on the desk. It's a working multiple landline number phone. And then to the right, there's another fax machine with a handset telephone on that.
So, and the fax machine that you just pointed to is just about in the center of the photograph, correct?
Yes.
And you said that that's not only a fax machine, but it also works as a telephone?
Yes.
So in this same room, there are 2 telephones?
I believe so, yes.
2 landlines? Okay. And the last photograph that we're going to look in this exhibit is 87L. Please, Sudie, thank you. Detective, do you recognize this area in the home?
I do.
And what is it?
It's a bar that is on the lower level of the home, the ground floor level, and it is on the east side of the house. It's kind of in a back room beyond where the living room was with the fireplace and the coffee table. And
It's
there was a
the
telephone
worst.
on top of the bar
Like,
here. I believe
what the
it's
actual
depicted
fuck?
in this photo right at the bottom of the photo, just left of center. And it's a landline type telephone.
All right, and you're pointing to, it looks like, at least in part, a white item just to the left of a jar with a yellow, perhaps candies or lemons or something in it. Is that correct?
Yes.
And again, a landline in working order?
Yes.
Moving on to another area, Detective. While you were there, fair to say that there were a number of people from the Sheriff's Department, is that correct?
Yes.
And Bob Kyle, did you know Bob Kyle before this day?
Yes.
And was he there at the crime scene during the period of time, some 30 hours that you worked there?
Yes.
What's his job?
Bob Kyle is a senior criminalist in the firearms unit now. At that time, I believe he was assigned to the forensic biology serology section.
So he works for the Sheriff's Department,
Yes,
but not for the Homicide Bureau?
correct. He works at crime lab.
Okay. Different organization or sub-organization within the Sheriff's Department?
Yes,
But you work together in a situation like this?
yes.
Could you describe the relationship? I mean, does he collect the evidence, or do you collect the evidence, or do you point it out? What's that relationship?
It's normally we if there's evidence that falls within that specialty, we would point it out to him. At that time, like I said, I believe he worked serology, biology section, so there was forensic biological evidence there that had to do with blood or hair or something like that. So he would examine it, he would collect it physically, bend down after it was photographed and measured and documented, and he would actually pick up the evidence, place it into whatever proper container would be used. We would either assist him in filling out an evidence label and putting it on a device, or the criminalist would do that.
Well, let's talk about a specific item here. Your Honor, I'd like to mark an exhibit. This is 3 photographs in one exhibit. Is People's 88 for identification?
So marked.
A, B, and C. First, let me ask you, do you recognize what portion of Phil Spector's house these photographs were taken in?
Yes.
And starting with A, what?
All 3 of the photos are the same room, and it's a bedroom that's been converted into kind of a master bedroom type closet dressing room. And photo A depicts the center of the room. There's a leather reclining lounger in front of the
if you just Google
entertainment center
principal,
with a TV.
you should be able to.
And in that photo and
find
photo A
what's
on the
up.
far, on the far
Like, there's a
right-hand
lot of
side,
work
about
to
the
it.
center
I
of
ain't
the
gonna lie to
photo,
you. Like, I
where
even
I'm
had
pointing
Dan help me
laser,
with some of it. Like,
is a white cotton ladies
but you should be able to get through there
jacket,
and get her going.
button-down jacket, kind of a formal dinner-type looking jacket. That same jacket's depicted in photo B. It's on the floor in front of the entertainment center. Entertainment center.
Yeah, what?
And to the left, in
What
that
was
same
that, sir?
photo B, is the same leather recliner.
I'm sure I'd be
And then
fucking
photo
with
C is a
everything out
close-up of the same jacket on the
You'll
floor.
hear me reading a script for one
Now,
of my
with
wrestling
respect to this
videos.
jacket that we see in, especially
Completely forget how to speak
close-up of People's 88C, did you recover that? Did Bob Kyle recover that? Did he recover your presence? Exactly what happened?
Bob Kyle recovered that after it was identified and given a number and photograph.
And did he point that out to you or show it to you before it was moved or recovered in your presence?
Yes,
And was it given an item number?
it was.
Do you recall that?
I do.
And it is?
19.
And you described it earlier as, I take it that you got a good look at it, or some kind of look at it, is that correct?
I did.
And you described it as what?
It's a white dinner jacket. It's actually a lady's garment. The buttons are on the left and the buttonholes are on the right of the garment. And it's kind of a longer than waist length, just above the knee type length jacket.
Now, earlier in an answer, you described the relationship between what you do and what someone like Bob Kyle from the crime lab does with respect to certain, perhaps scientific disciplines. Is that right?
Yes.
So why did Bob Kyle collect this?
That would be, later he would be one of the men that would possibly examine it back at the crime lab and do microscopic examinations of it and whatever other tests needed to be done to garner what evidence it yielded.
The crime lab does that, the detectives don't.
Correct.
So that's why he recovered that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, this People's 80, well, excuse me, this has already been marked, I believe, as, oh, here it is, I do have it, People's 38. All right. This is People's 38, Your Honor. Detective, as you look at this, it appears to be, well, it's two photographs, but they're probably were originally Polaroid photographs, is that correct?
Yes.
Looks like it. You see the defendant, of course.
Yes.
What we're really looking at here is the clothing. Apparently, looks like from here, black pants, a black shirt. At some point, were you given those items?
I was.
And how did that come about?
About a week after the incident, I was sent to the Alhambra Police Department to collect evidence that they had in their possession, and these two Polaroid photographs were amongst the items that I collected, as well as the long-sleeve black button-down shirt depicted in the photo, and then the black pants.
And those were given to you by members of the Alhambra Police Department?
Yes.
Do you recall who?
Yeah.
I believe it's Detective
Yeah, we
Esther
can't get a maid.
Pineda,
She's gonna steal some shit.
Pineda.
So she not only gave you the clothing items, did she give it in some kind of container? Was it a
Yes.
evidence folder?
They-
Describe that?
The clothing were in bags, separate bags.
She just didn't pick up a shirt and pants and hand it to you.
No.
They were in proper kind of evidence containers.
Yes.
And she also gave you the two photographs that we're looking at.
Correct.
It'd be hilarious. Oh, wait, I'm going to type it.
Your Honor, we found an exhibit that I was searching for earlier, if I could. This would be his People's, I think this would now be People's 89, is that right?
89.
Thank you. You've seen this before. We
I
talked
have,
about it, right? And we're going back to the deadbolt that you were describing that was broken at the front, or at the back door, correct?
Correct.
And this was just how many feet from where you found Lana Clarkson's remains?
About 8 or 10 feet.
And as you learned, at some point, the black Mercedes was just on the other side of that door.
Yes.
Does this exhibit, People's 89, help you at all in describing what exactly was broken, what you picked up in that, at the scene?
I'm going to object to the use of the word broken. I thought it was descriptive, but now it sounds like he's trying to use it precisely, and I'm going to object to that because that's not a fact in evidence.
Well, I'll let him describe it.
I thought it had been described as a piece laying on the floor, and to me that is broken fits within that description. How it was broken, why it was broken, if parts are falling apart, it appears to be broken.
Well, it's ambiguous, Your Honor. Broken has a more precise meaning.
You can cover that on cross if you want. I'm going to overrule the objection.
Well, you picked it up because you thought it was broken or have some value, didn't you?
That's leading and compound.
Okay. As I understand it, the second part of compound is correct. There's already been testimony that it was broken. That is in evidence. That's been testified to. I've overruled your objection. As to being compound,
Yeah,
sustained,
when he
you may
overrules
re-ask
your
the question.
objection, but you shut the
My
fuck up.
earlier question was, does this exhibit, People's 89, assist you in any way in describing how this deadbolt was apparently, at least to you, broken?
Yes.
And what you recovered?
Yes, it does.
And please use your pointer there and this exhibit to describe that for us.
In the right-hand side of this exhibit is a lever, the thumb lever I was describing earlier. That's what it looks like. There's a cylinder there that's actually attached. It's welded onto the thumb lever. That cylinder that I'm using with the pointer here to point out to you is affixed to a spindle. It almost looks like a pencil. It's about as big as a pencil. That spindle attaches to the deadbolt here. So when you flip this thumb lever one way or the other, it makes the lock retract or come out so it secures or unsecures the door. The thumb lever was off the spindle. It was lying on the ground. What secures the thumb lever here to the spindle is that on this collar here that I'm pointing to with the laser, there's a very small screw. I believe it's called a set screw. And you take a very small screwdriver and you tighten it down, and that's how it's affixed to the spindle. And the screw on this device was turned back so that it wasn't affixing the lever to the spindle. And I hope that makes sense.
I hope so too. Thank you for that. I do need to clear this up though. This that we have up on the board, People's 87, is not a picture of the deadbolt at the defendant's house that day.
No.
So this is just, actually we just found this as a way to illustrate what you found there and what you found broken with this deadbolt. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Just one last area that I want to talk to you about, and actually doesn't have much to do with the crime scene, or a little bit to do with the crime scene. I'd like to invite your attention to July 2nd, I think it was July 2nd, 2003. Did you attend an event?
Yes.
And what event was that?
It was a barbecue celebrating the 80th anniversary of the Sheriff's Homicide Bureau.
And that took place where?
At the Sheriff's Academy in Whittier.
You, at that time, were obviously an active member of the Sheriff's Department Homicide Bureau, correct?
Yes.
And I'm sure there were other members, active members like yourself attending the barbecue, is that right?
Yes.
Were there other people beyond that, the active members in the Sheriff's Homicide Bureau who were invited?
There were many generations of retired Sheriff's Homicide detectives.
Kind of alumni,
Yes.
so to speak,
Yes.
who had maybe perhaps at one time in the past worked at the Sheriff's Homicide Bureau, were invited to go.
That's correct.
And perhaps maybe even other command staff and people who had an interest in the Sheriff's Homicide Bureau, is that right?
Yes.
Was this an afternoon or evening event?
In the afternoon.
At that time, or perhaps before that, had you ever met or did you know a man by the name of Stan White?
Yes.
How did you know Stan White?
I'd known him as being a fellow deputy on the Sheriff's Department. I'd known him about, actually about 25 years. I'd known Mr. White.
As of that date?
Yes.
Did you consider him a friend?
Yes.
You'd known him a long time.
Yes.
At that time, at the time of this anniversary
What a morning here in the
barbecue,
church.
celebrating the 80th year of the Sheriff's Homicide Bureau, did you know whether or not Stan White was still an active member of the Sheriff's Department?
I knew that he was retired.
So he'd left the Sheriff's Department at
Yes.
that point. Do you know for how long?
He had been retired for a year or two in 2003 at the time of the barbecue.
And at the barbecue, did there come a time where you had a conversation with Stan White?
Yes.
And did that conversation have anything to do with the crime scene that you've just told us about? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Your Honor, I think I have nothing further at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here comes some
Cross-examination.
defense douchebags. Yep. Still got about a little less than 30 minutes. Looks like something like that.
Field, I know this is not a big point, but when an item has a loose screw on it, does that mean it's broken?
I reckon not. However, if that loose screw causes it to not function as it was designed or manufactured, I would call that broken.
Touche.
I'm going to get, rather than waiting until I would get
How
to-
about we talk about this for the next 6 days? How about that? That's what we plan on doing.
logically, because, you know, who knows what bothers lawyers? It's a real mystery.
Well,
but,
we know what bothers all of you.
You know, the Alhambra Police Department
Facts.
entered that
Bitch.
residence in a rush to apprehend or arrest Mr. Spector, right?
Yes, sir.
And that doorway is the entryway through which they entered, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that door swings up and will butt up against the wall where the stairway is, right?
Yes.
And if that's done with enough force and the screw is not tightly screwed, the knob can fall off, right?
I think that's a fair argument. He wasn't there unless he was there when it came off, if that's when it came off. But I think you've set the factual situation. You can argue it later.
Well, did you put the little knob back on the spindle?
I did not.
Okay, you didn't do that experiment to see what kind of effort it needed to take it off?
I did not.
Okay. Glad we got that resolved. Now, going back to your role in this investigation, you were called at about 2 o'clock on the midday of the 3rd of February, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And when you arrived at the location, there were numerous other people that had been there for some period of time before you, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And at some point, you got assigned to be the evidence gatherer, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Or chronicler, I guess, would be a better description. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, had someone pulled a report number by the time you got there?
Yes, sir.
And that's about the first thing that happens in the course of an investigation, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And as you said, it's a unique number that refers to the division, refers to the certain other identifiers, and then it has a 5-digit number that refers to the particular case. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And you said that this, do you know who pulled the number, by the way?
I do not.
Do you know when it was pulled?
I do.
When was that?
When the Alhambra Police Department calls the Los Angeles Sheriff's Homicide Unit and requests our assistant in investigating a murder, the number will get pulled then by whoever's the homicide detective answering the phone, and it's pulled out of a computer. It's the next number in line, and that's how it gets pulled.
Okay, so that number was obtained from your record-keeping function of the department prior to the first deputy sheriff arriving at the scene?
Yes.
So obviously no investigation had been done by the sheriff's department by that time. Is that right?
At the time the number was pulled, that's correct.
Okay. But based on your testimony, the report was denominated a murder report before the investigation even began. Is that right?
No.
Well, didn't you say it was called the Lana Clarkson murder report?
I did testify to that, yes, but the number you're referring to, the last 3 characters of our report numbers are flexible, and like a 011 is the identifier for a murder. and 491 is for another type of death. And we kind of categorize death investigations by criminal, non-criminal, accidents, things along that nature.
But this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you testified that this particular report was assigned the number that refers to a murder investigation. Is that right?
I'll correct you, sir. No, I don't really know if when the original number was pulled, and again, it's a very long sequence of numbers. When the original one was pulled, I don't know if they attached that 011 to it right away, or if it was simply like an unknown death code that was pulled. There's a five-character sequential number.
Sinead.
That's the more important number that's pulled right away. We oftentimes change those last three numbers as the
Three on the
investigation
new one.
progresses, and we determine that death is not perhaps what it appeared to be at the time the number was pulled.
All right, so your reference to this initial report being a murder report, was that a misnomer, or was that what it was at the time you became aware of it? That is, did you see this report number as a murder report when you first saw it?
I don't know. I didn't see the number until many hours after I had arrived at the scene.
But you were given the number by the time you arrived, because that was the way you were going to reference any evidence you found, isn't it?
I was given the number a couple hours after I arrived.
Don't sound get weird. Let me fix that real quick. Oops, yeah, wrong button. Boom.
But you hadn't done enough of an investigation to ascribe a cause of death
Fajita
at that point, had you?
sounds.
Or a manner of death, I should say. No?
No.
So
Well, everybody's descriptive fajitas, wonky,
why
vintage.
was it that, well, no. So was it the case that from the very beginning, the sheriff's department denominated this as a murder investigation?
There we go. Sinead coming through, baby.
States it, though.
Oh, yeah.
Witnesses said he's not
Oh,
sure what
yeah.
the first number
249. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
I'll allow the question, you can answer.
The answer is, sir,
Appreciate
that I
that.
simply don't know. If when the original number was drawn, it was drawn as a death investigation cause unknown number or as a murder number. I just don't know. I'm sorry.
So,
Love it.
well, was it your state of mind that as you arrived at the scene that this was going to be a murder as opposed to anything else?
Overruled.
When I arrived to the scene, I didn't have any state of mind as to what kind of death it would be. After I got there and talked to some of the detectives that were there and learned the facts that were available at that time, it appeared to be a murder.
And that was, what, within a few minutes of your arrival?
About 10 or 15 minutes, yes, sir.
Now, you've also repeatedly referred to the location that you're investigating as a crime scene. That could be a descriptive term or it could be a term of art. In this particular case, had you already made the determination when you arrived that this was a crime scene as opposed to an investigation scene?
No, not until after I'd arrived and gathered the initial set of facts.
Same 10 to 15 minute time frame?
Yes, sir.
Now, by the time you arrived, other officers had been there, both from Alhambra PD as well as the Sheriff's Department, for many hours. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And is it your understanding that the call to the Sheriff's Department came in at about 6 in the morning of that same day?
I'm sorry, sir. I don't know when Alhambra police called the sheriff's.
As of approximately 6 in the morning, was your understanding that the scene had been secured by police personnel, regardless of which agency it was?
Yes, sir.
So from that point on, the only people at the scene were related to the investigation, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so
Oh, for
between 6
Dizzy.
o'clock in
Gotcha,
the morning
gotcha.
and 2 p.m. in the
Dizzy on
afternoon, that's 8 hours, I believe. Who had been in charge of the scene up to then?
Oh, Dizzy takes the spot.
I would think that upon
Mix
the
it up a little.
arrival of
That's what
the
I love.
Hamlin
I love
Sheriff's
it.
Homicide Detectives,
Awesome.
which is Rich Tomlin and Paul Fournier, Fournier, that they assumed
Twitter there for a second.
command and control of the scene and of the investigation, and they directed
We're at here.
other officers, either from Alhambra or within our own agency, to secure the scene.
Is that an assumption, or is that something you know?
That's an assumption. That's the way it works, but that's an assumption.
Because there was a lieutenant on the scene, right?
Yes.
Creepy feel.
Lieutenant would be the ranking officer.
Tell me it's not the same. Tell me it's not the same. You'd be
the highest
lying to
ranking
yourself
officer,
and to
yes,
me.
but, in our agency, it doesn't, the rank doesn't command that he's in charge of the investigation. It's the homicide detectives are in charge of it with respect to his rank, but they're the ones that are making the decisions, and they're the tradesmen, so to speak.
Regardless of who it was that had assumed control for the sheriffs, do you know how long they'd been in control prior to the time of your arrival?
I do not.
Prior to that, it had been Alhambra PD, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you know who from Alhambra PD had been in charge of preserving the scene?
I do not, sir.
And since you don't know when the first sheriffs arrived, I assume you don't know how long they had been in charge, whoever it was that was in charge.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you said that you had been there about 30 hours before you left. Is that right?
With a break in between, yes.
Right. You investigated the first day from 2 p.m. to something like 11 p.m. that night, was it approximately?
Yes, sir.
And when you left to go get some rest, come back the next morning, is that right?
Yes, sir.
But when you left somebody in charge of the scene so that nobody else could visit it that wasn't involved with the investigation, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the next morning, do you recall what time you came back?
I believe around 10 in the morning.
Okay. And you investigated on that day till about 8 o'clock at night?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you add those numbers up, that's where you got the sheriff's department's approximate 30 hours of investigation.
At the scene.
Okay.
The scene was held, for my purposes, about that long, just under 30 hours, yes.
Okay. And if you add in Alhambra PD, it'd be up to maybe 38 hours, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, during that period of time, you could investigate anything you wanted to, right? You had complete control of the scene.
Of the scene, yes, sir.
Okay. And the scene included the residence, correct?
Yes.
The entire contents of the residence,
Yes.
and any containers within the residence.
Yes.
I mean, closet drawers, boxes, wherever you wanted to look, you could look.
Yes.
And also included the grounds surrounding the residence. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Did you, when you left, had you investigated everything you wanted to investigate at that scene?
I was pretty comfortable with the collection of evidence when I left, that we had done everything that we could have in the time given and the resources that we had, yes.
Well, nobody made you leave, did they?
No.
And if you wanted to stay there the next day, you were free to do that, right?
Yes, sir.
And likewise, however many people you needed, sheriff would have assigned them to you. Is that right?
So
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to take, this ain't got much longer here, but I like to do this every once in a while here on the Murder Church. One of my favorite animals is a sloth. And have you guys ever seen a sloth swimming? Huh? Well, you're about to. You're about to see a sloth swim. Look at this guy. Look at this dude. Look at his little legs and arms go. Moves quicker in the water than he does on land as well. Look at him, just looking around. Getting it. Just getting it. Look at this dude. Wow. I love sloths, man.
So there was no task that you wanted to do or felt should have been done that wasn't done by the time you decided to leave. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So all of the evidence, all of the examination, all of the photographs, whatever you wanted to do, you did it, said, we're done here, and went on to wherever else you went that day. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, one of the things that you were tasked with doing is preserving evidence at the crime scene. Is
Way
that right?
faster.
Yes.
And that involved controlling who came in and out, right?
Yes, sir.
Attempting to, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because there were a lot of people that came and went during that 30 to 38 hour period, right?
Yes, sir.
There's a log that is kept at an investigation scene, isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's an attempt to document who comes and goes, right?
Yes.
And we previously marked this exhibit, Madam President.
Yes.
It's been marked in for identification. And this is a copy of the council that starts at page 36.
It's fun to watch for me. I can't even swim.
See if you
water freaks me
recognize
out.
what that item is.
I do, sir.
And what is that?
It's a Alhambra Police Department major incident log, and it's got the names and identification and the time that
Always been
law
afraid of
enforcement
water.
personnel arrived and left and what their function was at the scene.
Okay. How many pages is that?
It is 7 pages.
Have you ever taken the time to count and see how many entries there are on that document?
No, sir.
Can without going line by line, can you estimate? There looks like there's maybe 25 per page approximately. You know.
Six of the pages are full. The last page has just one name on it. But that's a good estimate that there's perhaps 20 to 25 names per page.
Okay, so if I estimated that there were in excess of 100 separate entries on that document, would that be reasonably approximate?
Reasonably, yes, sir.
Some of the people came and went, so they would be duplicated. They might have left to go do something and then come back and sign in, sign out, sign in, sign out. Is that right?
I see my name on here 3 times at least, and I see Tomlin and Fournier's name on here 3 times.
So there may have been in excess of 100 separate entries and exits. That doesn't necessarily mean there were 100 separate people that were coming and going, correct?
That's correct.
But there were a lot of people coming and going.
Yes, sir.
And was there some control on what the people wore into the location as they entered the location? For example, was there somebody manning an entrance to say, check your shoes, check your clothing, make sure you're not bringing something into the scene from outside of the scene? Did you have anybody doing that?
Yes, there's both an inner and an outer perimeter. The outer perimeter,
Innie in
of
and
course,
outie.
is bigger, and it allows some personnel to come a certain distance within the crime scene. And then the inner perimeter, of course, is much smaller and more contained and tighter controlled. The outer perimeter is controlled by the uniformed Alhambra cop policeman that would have the law enforcement people sign this, and then they would be allowed to go to a certain point. And then the inner perimeter, which would be most likely the foyer or the interior of the house, would be a little bit tighter controlled by actually the detectives that are in there working and collecting evidence.
In regard to the inner perimeter, I think you said I imagine or use some indefinite term. Was that actually the inner perimeter, the residence itself?
For the most part, in general terms, yes.
And did you have a single point of entry and egress for the residence?
Yes.
And where was that?
Up the driveway and then around the back door.
All right. So the back door was the only place that people were coming in and going out of?
Generally, there were occasions when people would have a need or a reason to go out the front door or to walk down those front many steps that lead down on that terraced parcel of land. But generally, if somebody had business in the house, if a criminalist or another detective or somebody had a reason to come in the house and process a piece of evidence, or they were tasked with doing something, it would be generally through the back door. There were occasions when the front door was used.
Okay, well, what does that mean generally? Like 80% of the time, 90%, 50%? What does that mean?
There were times when the need dictated that people used the front door. Most of the time, the need dictated that people used the back door.
Can you put in a percentage on it? How many entries and exits were out of the north main door as opposed to the south rear door?
I'm sorry, sir, I can't.
Okay. Who was guarding or observing the people that came in and out of the north door, the front door that we've been calling it?
Well, in Jackson, Vegas, is talking about 30 hours. He wasn't there the whole time, I think.
Can you be more specific in your question?
When you first got there, and you took over for whoever was in charge prior to your arrival, who was in charge of the entry and exit? Let's start at the back door, because that's the main entrance and exit point, right?
Yes, sir.
Who was in charge of that?
There was no one single police officer in charge of guarding the back door. That didn't happen.
Okay. And it also didn't happen on the front door, correct?
That's correct.
Now, one of the reasons you want to control access to the scene is that you don't want to contaminate the scene, is that right?
Yes.
And as an experienced investigator, you know that contamination can be gross. Somebody coming in, dumping a bucket of something on what you're investigating, which you don't want that to happen, correct?
Correct.
But the more an area of greater concern is trace evidence. Is that right?
Yes.
And you've been an investigator long enough, and through your experience and your education, you know or have a working definition of what trace evidence is, don't you?
I do, sir.
And what is it?
Hair fibers or any other type of evidence that could be moved from a crime scene by somebody inadvertently, or that's brought to the crime scene by a potential suspect or defendant.
And does it have a consistent size, or it can be so small that it's not visible to the naked eye?
It can be so small.
As a matter of fact, most trace evidence is so small that it is not apparent to the naked eye, right?
Yes, sir.
Includes DNA, correct?
Yes, sir.
Includes fingerprints. Can include fingerprints, put it that way.
I think that in the scientific community, there's a definition of trace evidence, and I don't think fingerprints are included in that definition.
But certainly it is body fluids. You know, if somebody spit or expectorated, smoked a cigarette and left some of their saliva on the cigarette, that could be trace evidence, correct?
Yes, sir.
If investigator's hair was thinning and his hair is falling out as they do the investigation, that could be a contamination of hair, of trace evidence, right?
Yes, sir.
People walking around the crime scene or the investigation scene, I just did it myself, they can pick up things on their shoes and track it from one spot to another if they're not careful. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And people coming from the outside to the in and the inside to the out, because you can't see what you're picking up, you can inadvertently contaminate a scene, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you got at the scene, when you arrived at the scene, just starting on the bottom, how many of the officers had booties on?
None.
So everybody's walking around in their civilian shoes, right?
Yes, sir.
Or their uniform shoes if they were uniformed officers, right?
Yes, sir.
How many of the officers at the scene had hairnets on?
None.
Okay. And some of the officers and personnel had hair there, right?
Yes, sir.
So in terms of attempting to avoid people tracking stuff in or people having stuff fall out of their hair, and it's not just hair that falls out, right? Dander or things within your hair can fall out and be found and analyzed and maybe give a false clue, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for whatever reason, neither of those items were protected at any point in time, right?
Correct.
Okay, so nobody brought a box of those little booties there, and nobody brought the hairnets to the scene. Am I right?
Every LA Sheriff's homicide detective has a box of booties in his trunk. And if need be, at an appropriate time and scene and place, we put them on and wear them. Normally, they're designed to protect our shoes from hazardous materials and things of that nature. As far as hairnets, I don't recall ever in 300 plus murders or 27 years ever seeing anybody other than on TV wearing a hairnet to a crime scene.
But at least they gave you some booties that you elected not to use, correct?
Yes, correct. There was nothing that was going to damage our shoes there. The floor of the hallway where the incident occurred was carpeting. We weren't going to be using the, there's a process to pick up footprints or shoe prints in smooth surfaces. The floor was carpeting. That was obviously not going to be the case.
But within a very short time of your arrival, you became aware that there was a lot of small particles of evidence throughout at least the foyer area, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that included small particles of what were initially identified as either tooth fragments or fingernail fragments?
Yes, sir.
Small items like wood chips or what turned out to be wood chips at the time. Nobody knew what they were, I guess. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And the area that people were walking around in was carpeted, right?
Yes,
For the most part.
for the most part, yes.
I mean, that whole foyer area had a deep pile of carpet of some sort on it, didn't it?
Yes.
And you can't always see a small item of evidence on carpet, can you?
No.
So, anyway, didn't wear booties and just didn't happen, right?
That's correct.
Okay. But what about gloves? There is always concern of touching an item, and I guess the first concern is contaminating yourself. Is that right?
Yes.
This morning, when you examined the firearm that had earlier been covered in blood, as you described it, you didn't want to touch it 4 years later for fear that some biological agent might be there that you don't want to take a risk to yourself, right?
Correct.
And that's prudent for anyone dealing with biological fluids, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In addition to protecting yourself, you use gloves to attempt to protect the scene. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
But even with gloves, items can be transferred from one object to another. For example, if you picked up a bloody gun, let's say, because we know there was a gun with blood on it, and you put it down and then touch something else, there is a potential for transferring part of that liquid. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And likewise, if people at the scene didn't all have gloves, anything they touch could leave a deposit of some sort of trace evidence. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Not everybody at the scene was wearing gloves, were they?
No.
Okay. People that were touching stuff were supposed to wear gloves, right?
And we're wearing gloves, to my knowledge.
On that note, let's keep in mind the admonition. Let's try to be back by 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Woo! What a day in church. Good Lord. Where do we go next? Part 3, I'm imagining? Yes, of course. For another hour. How long? Let's just see. We are actually trucking through this trial pretty quickly. Let's get that paused up here. We're on number 78, and we're going to look. I think it's like 2:30-ish or something. So we're on 78. Cooking through this thing. Been an entertaining trial, if nothing else. I mean, it's fucking wild as shit. So we're on 78. So we're going to be with this detective for 6 parts to 81. And just for reference, as you guys can see, this thing does go on for a long time. All the way to number 244. Okay, and we're on number 78. So yes, we are with Phil Spector in this trial for quite some time. We'll see if we can even finish this by the end of the year. I'm not sure, but thank you guys for all being here. It's been a spectacular day, absolutely amazing. Yeah. Wow. Had 2 spins, 2 wins. Thank you very much, everybody. Anybody that does not know, if you're part of that winning circle, get at me, publiclybuzzed@gmail.com, or get at me on X through the messaging system. I will respond. I will just need your shirt, which one you pick from publiclybuzzed.com. I need your size, and I need to know where to send that thing. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Excellent day. Thank you to the mods coming in here today and holding it down per the usual. Next time you'll see me will be Tuesday night for another episode of Murder Church, where we will continue with Detective Mark Littlefield, Part 3, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, enjoy your Sunday, or if you're in the future, the rest of your Sunday. Or if you're in Australia, you're probably already in Monday. I don't know. You're deeper. You're like 14 hours ahead. But yeah, everybody, absolutely amazing. What a day. Incredible. You're going to get teleported out of this into Excited Utterance. She's got a stream coming up later today. When you get there, let Hella know that Publicly Buzz sent you over there. And hell yeah. Love you guys. I will see you in the chats probably tomorrow with Jay, I would imagine. Love you guys. Let's go.